On the Fanatic app and YouTube channel, here are your hosts, John Kincade and Andrew Salciunas. 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
Andrew, you've grown quite a mustache over the weekend. That's Connor Thomas in for Andrew Salciunas. And he's all flyered up. That's Sean Rodman in for Connor Thomas. Not as flyered up. I don't see any orange. I don't see any black. I don't see any...
I know. I should have this morning.
You should have. You should have.
I dropped the ball there.
I know that Austin Jones is all fired up.
Oh, yeah. Everybody should be. It was a heck of a win yesterday.
What a weekend. When was the last time, Philly, that we had a Monday morning like this? The Phillies win a series on their first road trip. Okay, that's great. Check the box. They played a terrible Rockies team. They won the series. Check the box, move on. The Eagles, 17 days until the draft. Okay, we're paying attention. We got an eye on it. The Sixers jockeying for Eastern Conference playoff position. Get a little bit of a nice gift yesterday. They're still sitting outside looking in on the play-in tournament, so they're sitting in that 6th seed. We're happy. But tell me you haven't heard this one lately. The Flyers making a push to the playoffs, and I hate the term, but if the season ended today, we're talking about a Flyers-Penguins first-round series, which would set the state, the interstate, the entire metro area on fire. It's as if you've been asleep for 6 years. It's 2020 all over again. The Flyers have returned to relevancy, but there is still ground that needs to be executed. Connor Thomas in for Andrew Salciunas, who is heading to Florida this morning. Hopefully TSA was good to Andrew this morning.
Yeah, there's work to do, but that's a problem for when they take the ice next, which will be tomorrow night. For today, they took care of what they needed to against the Bruins, and to have Porter Martone be the guy. I know it's a two-man advantage in overtime.
Exactly.
So there was the assumption that they were going to find a way to put the puck in the net there with that advantage. But for it to be the kid was just the perfect way. The celebration on the ice is incredible. It looked like one of those, hey, clinching you're in type of celebrations, which they still have work to do. But when you have that moment for a 19-year-old you just signed, like it feels like a week ago, pretty much was. That's an amazing thing for this team to continue to build momentum. And you say, it feels like you woke up back in 2020. You could be in the barn for this run. You could be in the stadium this time around. They didn't have that luxury for the fan base last time. So for the first time in what feels like forever, you have so much juice around this team, and it's great for the city.
All I could think of yesterday was my wife saying to me about the kid's first goal and all the excitement about that. And I'm thinking to myself, how many times can you remember? I remember Jimmy Rollins' first hit because of it being a triple at the vet. Like it was a triple at the vet. Like that's a big moment. A big moment. It's an odd hit.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that. It wasn't an overtime game winner on national TV that the whole country saw in a critical game that puts the team in playoff position where they now say, well, it's up to us now. And for that young man to have that moment, that memory, you talk about the celebration, everybody is going to remember Porter Martone's first goal.
It's hard to forget, ain't it?
Porter Martone's first goal could have come in the second period against the Devils in a 6-2 win, and nobody really would have remembered it.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to remember that.
Yeah, and it just feels like one of those moments that validates the focus that's being put on this team right now. It felt like for about a week there, the Flyers were getting a lot of help, but they were middling a little bit. They weren't really making the push they needed to grab a hold of this thing, and they still have not fully grabbed a hold of this thing. But that was the seminal win of the postseason push so far, and to have that moment to end it just adds even more juice to the important thing for this team is not just to keep winning hockey games. It's to continue to keep the attention of a fan base that has so many people jumping on the bandwagon now that have been out for so long. And the way you do that is not just find a way. It's find a way in dramatic fashion in a great moment that people are going to be talking about, and we're going to be talking about all morning, that keeps the city locked in, and they've done that.
And they have. Now they got a 3-game road trip this week, which takes them out. And I wonder if that takes a little bit of the juice out of it, but still – you can see with everybody is going to be on edge wondering, when's the next game? When's that next moment? When is that next opportunity to see this team? And you watch what Dan Vladar did yesterday was incredible in goal. I mean, absolutely awesome. And Sam Urson, again, the other night, just a wall. He's come back to life after a really bad lull in the middle of the year when they could have used him to play better. He's now rounded into shape. The Flyers have the look of just being one of those. They're dangerous. They're dangerous.
They are.
That
might be the word of the week.
Yeah, they're not. They're not a team. They're like, I see people saying, this reminds me of 2010. Okay, I'm just going to say there is a little thing called a brake pedal that I would suggest hitting. I'd suggest hitting it just a bit. Can we enjoy just what they're doing? Because this team is still incredibly infuriating in other ways. I watched that power play, and I can't wait. Today, we will talk to Rick Tockett, coach of the Flyers, today at 9:30 here on the show. And I'm going to ask Rick Tockett about his power play because it's incredible that this team is playing so well. And the power play opportunities, which should be like the 3 or 5 foot putts that we all are supposed to make.
Yeah, what are they, like 27th in hockey right now? Or they're down near the bottom. Bad. But the incredible thing for this team is they've been playing so well since the Olympic break to make this push. And just recently, you add in Porter Martone, who seems to always be in the right spot. And it's his first NHL goal that he got yesterday. It won't be his last.
No, it won't.
And Tyson Forster coming back from injury
was huge.
You've added 2 high-level players to a team that was one of the hottest in hockey before they got those guys. So it's almost like you got late trade deadline acquisitions. Isn't that fun, what you always hear when you get guys back from whether it's injury or a wild signing of a young player? They've got a lot going in their direction. Now they just got to finish this thing off.
There's a lot of math that has to go down with this, too. The Flyers right now sitting there in 3rd place in their division. And honestly, now that they're sitting there, the only thing you worry about is a race with the Islanders. Because the Capitals have 4 games left. They've got 87 points. The Capitals are 3 points behind the Flyers. They only have 4 games left. Flyers have 5 games left. They're 3 points ahead of them. Flyers should not be worrying about the Caps catching.
No.
The only way they worry about the Capitals catching them is if they open the door for the Caps by losing. So the only team that we're focused on is the Islanders. That's it. Flyers, Islanders. Islanders have 4 games left. They're a point behind the Flyers right now. Flyers with that game in hand, which they will play tomorrow night against New Jersey. So I don't know to you, Connor, but to me, that seems like the game. If you put that one on the board and you take 2 points out of that one and you're up 3 points with 4 to play, and the Islanders, they can't, at that point, they're feeling like they can't lose a game.
Yeah.
They're like, we can't lose a game. The minute we lose a game, then the pressure's totally on. The Flyers can sort of choke us out.
Absolutely.
At that point.
Absolutely. And the Flyers have opportunity against some very beatable teams down the stretch here with 5 games still left to go in this season. It's a great chance for them and the way they've been playing hockey. I don't know how you can go into this doubting them. We're not saying cup.
No, but no. Doubting them.
You should have all the belief in the world that they can get this thing done and buy in at this point. There's no waiting around like, how I haven't gotten that sentiment over the past week, though, of like, how are they going to screw this up? And that's something that we've seen with our winter sports teams. Anytime the Sixers put themselves in position, anytime the Flyers have come close to postseason contention over the past couple of years, you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. I feel like that's another thing a moment like yesterday does. It makes you believe in where this team's going. But, John, yesterday was Easter. I hope you had a good one.
It was. They have a good Easter, yeah. It was very, very good. Father Joseph had a good early morning mass over at St. Peter and Paul. A good mass. Had fun.
That's great. Some
What about you guys?
Go later. I didn't really do. I had podcast stuff.
That'd be a good day.
Yeah, so I had to take care of that. Had to beat the Bruins.
No ham.
No ham. But some people might have missed the finish to that game, or might not have heard it because you were running around doing all the Easter stuff.
Let's hear it.
Let's hear it here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Flyers win the draw in the Boston zone. Forrester over to Zegras. Zegras down low. Dvorak, they've got connecting on the far side. Tyson Forster, top left circle, over to Zegras. Zegras down low in front. Martone will stop the rebound. They score! Porter Martone, his first goal in the National Hockey League. It's an overtime winner, and the Flyers have secured a playoff spot for now. They're third in the Metro Division with a 2-1 overtime win over the Bruins.
That is a beautiful thing. That is a beautiful sounding thing. Tim Saunders here on the Flyers Hockey Network, which you hear right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. You'll hear it again tomorrow night when the Flyers take on the Devils.
Yes, you will. Doesn't that just bring a smile to your face, though?
Let's go!
We
By
need
the
more
way,
of that this week.
Jim Jackson, too, with the great call on the TV side. It was a great Sunday afternoon. It was great. And a lot of you are going to want to chime in and share your thoughts about it. And you can do that. You can text us at 610-632-0975. I've got to ask, though, and it's one of those things did it take yesterday for you to really buy in? Because it was weird is the Wawa crowd. Now, the Wawa in Malvern, my early morning Wawa crowd that I'll pass sometimes is I'm wearing the bright orange today. And this morning I saw Flyers hat, Flyers T-shirt. I'm going to be honest. I don't think I've seen a Flyers hat and a Flyers T-shirt at the morning Wawa in Malvern I don't know, as long as I've been doing Kincade Salciunas.
Yeah.
I got to be honest. That's great to see. It's April, and you're seeing it, and you're feeling it. And I wonder, did it take yesterday? Did it take that moment? Did it take Porter Martone getting here? Did it take something like what does it take people to jump on?
I think that's a great question for me. And what we do, we've been on this for weeks now, seeing the potential that they can find a way into this thing. But for the average fan who is not diehard Orange and Black, Flyers are my number one team, I imagine yesterday was the moment a lot of people really bought into this because it was. Now, I hope it's not the moment of this push because there's more work to be done. But to this point, it's the moment. And frankly, you look at the past 5 years. Is that the biggest moment that we've seen from this team in the past 5 years?
It is.
So
it's the biggest moment since 2020.
So I'd say, yeah, that's where a lot of people, we're going to have some new people who I'd imagine will hit the text line today that have not texted us about the Flyers maybe in years that are going to want to react to that game because of how big that moment was.
I don't know if you remember a few weeks ago, I gave you guys the rebuild standings. And how many times, because Danny Briere and Keith Jones have taken a lot of crap about this rebuild from some of the Flyers faithful on Twitter that have said this rebuild has been botched, this rebuild's terrible, this rebuild's horrible. Now, look, I don't believe this rebuild has been an A+. I don't believe it's been an A. But if you're telling me that it's been less than a solid B, I'm going to tell you that you're nuts. But I think it's a B, a solid B that has a chance to be a B+, that depending on how some of these guys develop, could develop into an A. We don't know. But to me, it's important to know that the less than, and it's important, 2 out of 3 teams that start a rebuild show a 3-year point ladder growth. Less than 2 out of 3 show you a rebuild growth. First year of Danny Briere and Keith Jones, 75 points, which was a 14-point growth from 61, the team they took over. So they improved by 14. Last year, second year of Briere Jones, they go up by 12 points from that to 87 points, and they find themselves with a 12-point improvement. This year, they're up by 3 with 5 to go, right there in the playoff push. And I said it to you in the beginning. I did not believe that this team was a playoff team all year long. So I'm not switching my tune. I did not believe anybody should have expected this roster to make the playoffs. The fact, though, that they're right there with 5 games to go, it's a damn good job. They're up by 3. They'll probably end up 7, 9 points at best, maybe more by the end of this, at the end of the year. Danny Briere and Keith Jones have done a really good job, even better than I've given them credit for. And I've given them some credit and defended them. And they've done a better job. That's a really nice job.
It feels like one of those launching pad spots, right? Remember, the Phillies in a 10-year playoff drought and then 2022. Now, I'm not saying we're seeing a championship series run for this Flyers team, but that was the validation of okay, you make it in, and then you go out and you sign Trey Turner after that season, which is further commitment from management to say, hey, we've got a chance now. We know this is a big offseason after this gets done, where the Flyers are going to want to go out and spend in free agency, and seeing this level of success, it feels like it validates another step in the rebuild. Now, something interesting, Johnny, because they're not the only playoff push we have going on. I know we've got big Sixers games this week, too.
Yes, we do.
I wonder what the capacity for the city is. to root for both of these teams. Not that
Well,
you're
there better be.
Well, you'd imagine, but
Well, there better be, right? I just don't think that the Sixers. Now, this might not seem fair to you, and tell me if it is unfair. I don't know that the Sixers have earned our energy.
I'd agree with that.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you'd think that was fair or not, because I don't know if it's fair, like even me saying it. Like I'm going, is it fair?
Well, it's a different feel. So it was my dog's birthday just a couple weeks ago. He's got
What's up, Bolt?
He's got a billion toys. Bolt's the best. And every time we get him toys for his birthday, it's the only thing he plays with for like 2 weeks.
That's the new toy.
It's like, bro, you've done this with every single, but that's what the Flyers postseason push is they're the new kids on the block. This feels more exciting than a Sixers team that you've seen make it in a bunch and have those postseason disappointments. I feel like this could flip the focus to more Flyers than Sixers, which is not something we've seen in a while in this city. And I wonder if people are like gravitating to the Flyers partially because of the way they felt about the Sixers organization, or it could do the alternate and more buzz in general get you more fired up for all of the big games we have coming this week.
Yeah, and that's the one thing is that the capacity. I just don't know that right now the passion the Flyers have locally. I don't know that the Sixers can manufacture that.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a story about that coming up about maybe the reason why. But I don't know that they can maybe manufacture that passion.
And the Sixers are the more talented team. They are the
There's
more
no question.
playoff proven, even though proven, whatever. They are the team with experience with these veteran players that are like, okay, dangerous. That might be the word of the week. So it's intriguing to me how people are balancing these two postseason runs and how they're approaching these teams different.
Well, let's be honest. Are you scoreboard watching and I don't know if that's we're going to come up with a poll question, and I want to make sure that it's a good one. But honestly, are you scoreboard watching in the NBA? We both were yesterday because I know from our text exchanges we both were, but we do this for a living.
Yeah, I am for both.
I don't know if the regular fan base is watching the scoreboard as much, scoreboard watching like we are for the NBA.
Well, it's still odds. I'd love to hear from people on the text line. And again, you can get in 610-632-0975.
That's the Davis Honda text line. You know, the Davis Honda. Field the Davis difference at Davis Honda in Burlington.
Absolutely. You can send us voice memos. You can call us. I want to hear from the people because there's a lot of different ways to take what's going on right now. And I think in some way, everything is positive, even if it's one team
everything
over
is
the
positive.
other.
Right.
People are feeling good this morning.
And it should be positive. And Sixers positive, because I didn't expect anything less than the split. We're going to get into the Joel Embiid story coming up a little bit later on, so please stick with us. We're going to get into the story of why Joel Embiid, and did he play in back-to-backs? Does he want to play in back-to-backs? There's a lot to that story. But more importantly, I wasn't expecting the Sixers to win both of those games this weekend against Minnesota and then against Detroit back-to-back. They won the one I thought they'd win. They lost the one that they thought they'd lose.
Yeah, they needed one of those games. And it was good to see Joe out there on Friday night, especially because I was down in the building with my mom and brother.
How was the energy?
It was great.
How about from your family, who was very upset with the outcome?
They didn't love the energy as much. It was kind of a crappy game because it was low scoring for like a huge part of it. But the run, when they were closing out the game, credit to Kelly Oubre for being a big part of that.
Big time.
He's one of the guys you don't really think about that has really been an impact guy when he's been available. It got loud in there. Again, it feels like that team still feels like there's a shoe hanging over your head. The Flyers feel like they might have made the shoe disappear with the way that they won yesterday.
I think the 5th seed dream went away. 4 games to go. You're 2 games behind the Hawks. I don't think you're catching that.
I've never really been looking at
Not when you have San Antonio and Houston coming up.
No, that's going to be
if you could sweep those games, you have a chance. But I think the Hawks with the 5th seed, now you're thinking 6 is the ceiling, but the floor is dangerous because you got teams right behind you, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Phillies, by the way, win their first road series of the year versus the Rockies. Great to see Aaron Nola and Jesus Luzardo. That's the positive, because I'm going to keep it on the positive first. Great to see Nola and Luzardo give us what we hope for this year.
Absolutely. And
that's the positive.
This was such a bounce-back series for the starters because Nola, I didn't think he was terrible in his first start, but
That wasn't
the home
terrible. That
runs,
wasn't terrible.
He
but
needed a better one. Luzardo needed to be much better, and he was. 11 strikeouts, incredible performance by
he's
him.
much better.
And Taijuan Walker, I wanted to see him be better.
Yeah, you want to see him down with DJ AAA with the Iron Pigs.
Or in the
But you
bullpen,
can't.
in a swingman role in case you need him. But Zach Wheeler coming back is something this team really needs.
And how about Zach Wheeler? Just a thought. Zach Wheeler's going to make his next AAA start on the 13th. And then if that goes well, he's going to pitch on the 18th. And if that goes well, he'll be back.
Before the end of the
How
month.
about that? How about that? He could be back on the 23rd of April. He could be back the night the NFL draft is on. Andrew DeCecco may even go split screen. Nah, he won't. You know he won't.
No.
DeCecco joins us today, too, in the final 2 hours. So much going on today. And look, Porter Martone made the huge splash with his first NHL goal to win yesterday's game in overtime. But what are the Flyers' true chances with 5 games to play? And what do you think about those chances? We'll discuss next as Kincade Salciunas continues on The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Porter Martone wins it. I'm Sean Rodman, and the Flyers win both games over the weekend, including this overtime winner yesterday against the Bruins from Tim Saunders right here on The Fanatic.
Tyson Forster, top left circle, over to Zegras. Zegras down low in front. Martone will stop the rebound. They score! Porter Martone, his first goal in the National Hockey League. It's an overtime winner.
The Flyers are now in the third playoff spot in the Metropolitan Division and are in the driver's seat with 5 games to play. Flyers are back in action on Tuesday at the New Jersey Devils. You can listen to the game right here on The Fanatic. The Phillies won the series over the weekend but lost to the Rockies yesterday. Former Philly Mickey Moniak led the way for the Rockies with a pair of home runs. Phils are back in action tonight in San Francisco. Andrew Painter is scheduled to get his second career start tonight for the Phils, and Adrian Hauser is scheduled to start for the Giants. First pitch is at 9:45. The Sixers are back in action tonight after splitting its back-to-back over the weekend. Sixers are in San Antonio tonight. You can listen to the game right here on The Fanatic. Pregame coverage begins at 7. And the men's basketball and NCAA championship is tonight between UConn and Michigan. Tip-off is scheduled for 8:50 on TBS. This update is brought to you by Aleve. Whatever the forecast, aches and pains can cloud up a perfect day. With just one pill, Aleve provides up to 12 hours of pain relief so you're ready for sunny skies ahead. Use as directed. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and Union, 97.5 The Fanatic and the Fanatic app.
now.
This hour of Kincade Salciunas is presented by Bradford White Water Heaters. Bradford White, they're here for the pro. Much like with Taiwan Walker, there goes the perfect game.
Pretty early, too, huh?
There it is. Yeah, it really goes.
Okay,
good.
we'll heat up with Andrew Salciunas out for the week.
There you go. Hey, Davis Honda text line is with you all day long at 610-632-0975. Feel the Davis difference at Davis Honda in Burlington. You can get on in with us. And, of course, we will have a Twitter poll question for you, as we do every single day, brought to you by our friend Dr. Avidan Appel of Iron Mountain Men's Health. And, Connor, I think you found a way to be able to word this thing, because it was sort of weird trying to figure out how to word it this morning with this Flyers situation going on right now.
So you can judge if this is a well-worded poll, but we know it's going to be up and strong for all 4 hours. So our question today, how have you been handling your buy-in for the Flyers playoff push? We got 3 options here. Ben bought in for a while, bought in yesterday because we want to see how many people that big win yesterday got them in on this, or still need to see more. And those would be the folks, we talked about it in the break, that are more like, they're still dreaming, but it's right. Not to the point where you're fully buying in on this, which I think still is okay.
You can understand that.
Yeah.
I honestly believe the person who tells me that they still need to see more is probably the person who has watched the most Flyers hockey.
Yeah,
I think the person who has watched the most of them is probably the most skeptical, because I'm going to tell you, if a month ago you thought this team was a playoff team, I'm going to say you were being way overly optimistic. If you thought they would have the second best record in the NHL a month ago from the trade deadline, I would have told you you're being way too optimistic. It played out that way, so I underestimated them.
It feels like they played 3 different seasons. Like, they do something at the start of the season. They go, Dan Vladar's been a revelation. And they look like, oh, we might have something here. And then he gets hurt. They go down. They go on a bad stretch. You hit the Olympic break. And it's like,
sure.
Okay, well, we had a good shot at this. And then they make this late run. Feels like we've seen a bunch of different versions of this team. And they haven't even played the full 82 yet.
Which is incredible. And the full 82 is the big key, because you paid 77. And now you got to find these last 5. And navigating these last 5, Connor, is going to be a little bit difficult, because I said it to you this morning. This thing ain't over. I mean, it's the Flyers and the Islanders, but you've got to, and honestly, it's only, again, you're going to get complicated because you're going to start looking at the wild card standings. You don't have to look at the wild card standings. All you really got to look at is the Flyers and the Islanders, because, look, the Capitals are 3 points behind them with 4 to play. So you shouldn't have to worry about the Caps catching you. So the only team you're worried about is the Islanders. And the Islanders right now are a point behind you. You have a game in hand. That game in hand will be played tomorrow night. You'll hear it right here on 97.5 The Fanatic as the Flyers play at New Jersey. You take care of that one, and I think there is not an exhale, but a confidence level that we would come in with on Wednesday morning to be like, this team really does have a chance. Split their last 4 games, they're going to the playoffs.
Yeah, I still have a side eye on Ottawa.
You like the Ottawa?
Yeah,
I think they're
tied with you in points. They're in the final wild card spot.
I think they're
now.
in. I think they are. I'm gonna anoint them today.
Oh wow!
I think they're in. I think the last wild card spot is gone.
Okay.
I think they're in, because they have 5 games left. They have 90 points, just like the Flyers. They have 1 more win than the Flyers with the 90 points, and they're playing 3 of their last 4 games against teams that are already eliminated.
Yeah, I think it's just seeing the 90 points in the standings. That I'm definitely watching the Islanders more, obviously.
Sure, that's the team, because you want third place in your division. You don't want to play with a wild card.
Yeah, but I know you love this. The Flyers control their own destiny.
Yeah, if destiny could actually be controlled, that would be a thing. So now the question is everybody believing or not? I wonder if I think the people who are more likely to be the big believers are the people who've watched this team less.
Just getting caught up in the moment, like riding the wave of this team.
Correct, because like yesterday, and it's weird, is after the game, and I just had to finally mute some people because they're on social media, because they're just trying to, they're a joyful day like that, and they're trying to make it a negative. And it's like, I was very critical of the power play yesterday. Yeah. And the power play is atrocious. It's absolutely atrocious. And it's been atrocious now. This is the 4th year it's been atrocious. It's bad. And then people are like, They scored on the power play to win the game. Good tweet, dude. It's like Beavis and Butthead. I'm like, dude, you didn't watch the game. You obviously don't watch the games, or you obviously don't watch games. This team is so bad on the power play. And honestly, it's shocking considering the talent that they do have that they're as bad as they are. Now, do I think they should be a top 5 power play, top 10 power play? Absolutely not. But should they be at the bottom 5 of the NHL? No.
Yeah, it feels like a weird
It's bad.
stat for a
It's
team
bad.
playing this good.
And yes, 5-on-3, you tend to score.
Yeah.
You tend to score on 5-on-3. That's not the same as scoring on the power play.
It might just be one of those things, man. Like those, you can't really put because they've changed special teams coach. Like they still have the same issue that it feels like the Flyers have always had. Every team kind of has that. You have like a positive you can count on this,
right.
regardless of who's wearing the jersey, and a negative you can count on this. And the Flyers might just be the power play, but go ahead.
And
Sorry.
sometimes you can have you can be a big fan of a team and what they're doing, and you can still go, yeah, but this is a huge issue that they've got to overcome.
Yeah, well, it used to be goaltending, and Dan Vladar's been so good this year. Maybe they needed to find something else.
And Sam Erson's just unbelievable.
He's been great down the stretch too.
We have anybody chiming in early on the text line there, Mr.
Yes,
Sean
we
Rodman.
do.
Welcome to the show.
Joe the Cynic, I should say, checks in and goes, the Flyers just got a taste of what the crowd would look like in the playoffs inside Xfinity Mobile Arena.
See, that's nice.
Yeah. That building was loud yesterday.
And the Flyers, honestly, did not give them for a large period of that game a lot to cheer about.
No, their early goal was nice.
Early goal was great, and that's always good. And then they sort of went into it, not went into a shell. I thought the first period was really good.
Yeah.
Second period to me was actually terrible. You have 3 power plays, and you generate nothing.
Yeah,
you
missed
generate no
opportunities.
offense.
They felt like the better team in that game, though.
And-
against a really good Boston team.
And then, but you see, I thought from like halfway through the second period to then the third period, I thought the Bruins had them holding on.
Yeah.
And then the Flyers just last like 8 minutes, 7 minutes started charging.
Yeah.
And they had so many great opportunities.
Right. And I always judge like baseline hockey. I just judge by the opportunities you create. Like offensive zone time. I'm not checking the numbers, but just the feel of how you're possessing the puck and the opportunities you're giving. It felt like the Flyers, now they were holding on at the end, but it felt like they played the better hockey game yesterday. And to do that against that Bruins team, that just shows you how well they're playing right now.
Now, so there's tons going on with that. We got any others?
Yeah, we have a handful of people checking in. Another person, first-time texter, no name on this one, saying, this Martone looks like he belongs. He's freaking huge and making plays, taking advantage of every opportunity. The future is looking bright. If they can make the playoffs, that's great. If they can make a run, even better. I'm just happy to see these guys coming along and getting better.
Now, you are of the Wayne Simmons Flyers, like looking at you guys like Wayne Simmons is somebody in your head that you think of.
That's my guy.
I
love
think
Wayne.
of, now you see, for me, and it was too as when I was with the team, is Tim Kerr. I think of Tim Kerr being that guy who was willing to get there, stand in front of the net, take a beating, get in position, be hard to move, and he's going to score a lot of goals sitting in front of the net like that. And to me, Wayne Simmons did a great job of that.
Yeah.
And creates a lot of attention. You need that. And I'm so impressed with this kid early on.
Do you remember like a week or two into the season, Rick Tockett was a little bit critical of the team, saying, hey, we don't like to go to the dirty parts of the ice.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they got a guy that loves to live there. And there's a conversation, not for now while we're in the postseason run, but maybe later on in this summer, where we talk about the generational shift in the athletes in this city, because there is a lot of young talent that is bursting on the scene. Phil's Flyers, Sixers, like something to keep an eye on there. It's a great time.
Now, I got to ask, too, is again, with this Sixers thing, because we're watching the Sixers, too. Sixers came away with a split, and it's as if people want to go, it's no big deal. When you're facing Minnesota and Detroit, that was a tough back-to-back. Whether they were healthy or not, whether they had Embiid for both games or not, we're going to get into that story in the 7 o'clock hour. The 76ers splitting there puts them in a fine position there, but tonight with Wemby, how dialed in are you for that one tonight with –
Yeah, you have to be.
Yes.
I mean, one, because Victor Wembanyama is incredible to watch, and he's been on a heater recently. Not that he's ever really not.
He's unbelievable.
He is. But there's one thing, and that's why Joel Embiid is going to be very important to what you've got going on. There's one thing that Victor Wembanyama still has a weakness with. It's if you get a big body on him that can move him off of his spot. And Joel Embiid can be that guy when he's playing at his best. But one of the big stories of this postseason push for the Sixers is how often are you going to get Joel Embiid at his best or available at all? And stop me if you've heard.
And they're
that
trying
before.
they're trying to do that
For the postseason, which whether it's the play-in or the actual playoffs, wherever they seed out, they will have games that matter more than the ones they're playing right now, like win or go home games. So maybe it's the right strategy, but we'll talk when we look back on this past week about how we feel about all that.
When you look at this last week of the Sixers, I say to myself, how many nights did they just sort of do the scheduled loss thing? Not to do the Doc Rivers joke, but do the scheduled loss thing by just like sitting guys and just give up victories that now you'd say if they only had one more, two more, they'd be in as the 6th seed. We wouldn't, and maybe this week would have been able to be a little extra rest going into a week of rest.
Now, I don't think they're winning anything, but what I will say is there is nothing I would have seen. Let's say they go all out, like leave it all out on the floor to try and find a way to the 6 or, hey, maybe even the 5 seed. And Joe plays every night. Paul George plays, and all of these guys play as much as they can every night. There was nothing they were going to prove to me anymore about their playoff viability. It's seeding, and while seeding is important and being in the play-in's not ideal,
It wasn't going to change your...
we know the issue with this team. They got to be healthy. And if they're prioritizing that, I understand it. It doesn't mean I like it.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Hey, it's a common phenomenon. Every sports fan base in Philadelphia wants to gatekeep, it seems, when the team gets good, instead of just welcoming others into the tent. I'm never going to figure that out. Maybe the guys have some other insight that can help me with that. But let's talk about it. This mentality, because it's going on right now, and it's going on with some of the, what I would call digital media members, too. Talk about it next as Kincade Salciunas continues here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Going to tell you that, guys, if something's not feeling right, don't put it off. Don't brush it aside. Go to the doctor. And if a cancer diagnosis was somehow to come into your family, your life, your brother's life, your father's life, your friend's life, get them to the consultants in medical oncology and hematology. Dr. John Sprandio and his team make it easy to get answers. In fact, there are two of them. There's a senior and there's a junior, and they're both really, really smart. But I'm a little partial to Junior because Junior saved my life. Well, him and his entire team, because he was like the head coach. And then think of it as him having an amazing staff that helped me through the whole process. I'm talking the nurses. I'm talking the other doctors that helped me out. I'm talking about the office staff that scheduled all my appointments for me. And because they're an individual practice, an independent practice, they got me involved with healthcare practices that I didn't have to stay within one tree of one healthcare provider to, within one hospital system. If you've had abnormal test results or unexplained symptoms, don't put it off. Get clarity and get control. Because the sooner you get answers, the better you're going to get cured. And I can tell you this, the protocol that saved my life that Dr. John Sprandio Jr. chose for me was another one that another healthcare system in town told me, we don't really think that's the one for you. I'm glad I made this choice because I'm here to talk about like this great Flyers run with you today. Visit CMOH.org. Take that first step towards peace of mind. If you need them, they're there for you. CMOH.org.
Got something to Kincade Salciunas, Philly Sports Talk, 97.5 The Fanatic and the Fanatic app.
What a Monday morning it's been already. Flyers big win. Sixers in position to close out the season because the season's getting closed out this week. Whether we like it or not, we're going to find out. Are they in the play-in tournament or will they have that week off? And the week off, I think, would be mission critical for the Sixers team. I think it would be really, really good for this team to be able to have that extra time because they obviously are very, very concerned about extra time off. Is something that's important to the Sixers. They worry about it big time. In fact, we'll be talking about the Sixers and extra time off coming up after the top of the hour when we discuss Joel Embiid's comments from Friday night, the Sixers' actions towards Joel Embiid. It seems like there were a lot of people on both sides of the fence regarding him and his actions, so we will get in on that coming up. Look, I don't know where you guys stand on this, and we didn't discuss it before the show, so I purposely kept it where we didn't, talk about anything. In fan bases, it's a common phenomenon. It's not just here. But people who have been along for the ride with a fan base, with a team, when a team is really, really bad for a while, they say they don't want other people joining in when the team gets good. And right now I'm seeing it with the Flyers. And I even saw it with some of the Flyers, and I'm not trying to be in any way derogatory here. I'm just trying to differentiate them. The Flyers, I'll call them digital media. There's a difference between the Kevin Kerrs,
right,
and there's a difference between him, and there's a difference between somebody who has a 3,000 followers and has a Flyers podcast.
Yeah, the credentialed media versus the folks who talk about this team on microphone doing their own thing.
And by the way, I am a huge supporter of podcasters.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm a huge supporter of the guy who creates his own Flyers podcast, Eagles podcast. I follow a lot of them, so you can show that I'm not a derogatory guy towards them. But you know what I will be? I'll be a derogatory guy towards you if you create this, oh, yeah. I saw one of them yesterday. And a guy that I follow doing this, oh, yeah, sports radio. Now you're acting like you've been with them all along, and now you've been paying attention all along. Well, first of all, shush. Second of all, before you were born, before you were born, I was working down there. But it's more importantly, it's the entire sports radio industry. Who cares? Sports radio talks about what Philly's talking about. And the Flyers have made themselves irrelevant by their own performance. Now they're relevant. Now people want to talk about them. You on your podcast or your whatever website it is, you may have people that are really interested in that even when they're crappy. God bless you. I think that's awesome. I follow a lot of it. But when the team gets good, don't act like a jackass. Don't act like somebody's like, well, now we don't want you. Stay out. This is ours. Shut up. First of all, who made you the gatekeeper?
Yeah, fandom doesn't have to be a competition. That's the thing. And some people look at it that way, where it's just like, I was here first. I'm the bigger fan.
I know more than you.
Especially in this city with how we handle our sports teams, it's very communal. And the more people that could be part of a community trying to look for the same team for our sport, or the same thing for our sports teams, the better it is. I get it. You feel like all the Johnny-come-latelys, not to say Johnny is in you, but that is the expression. Exactly. It bothers some fans who have been in for the long haul. But ultimately, it's a validation of what your team is doing when you see people who are not normally fans jump in. And that's a great thing. Unless you're looking at it like, oh, now I can't get down to the stadium because the ticket prices have gone up so much because everyone wants to go to a Flyers game. Hey, I understand the certain drawbacks of like a team being more popular that happen naturally, but it comes from your team being good. I've never understood the gatekeeping.
I've always been a believer, Sean, in build the bigger tent.
I agree with you. I've had a friend before that did this with the Eagles, towards another friend, where one of them is a really big Eagles fan, loves football and stuff as well, and then someone that wasn't as big of a sports fan years ago when the Eagles were starting their first playoff run and the Super Bowl and continued it. Now, the friend that wasn't a big sports fan loves the Eagles. listens to the show in the morning here with us, listens to various podcasts, and his football knowledge has grown. And I will, like, there's been times I've had conversations with him, and I'm like, how do you know that? Where I'm like, I'm really impressed because not only people should be doing that for the Flyers and allowing more people to come in, but it's going to grow the game. More people are going to become involved. That would bring it to your channel. It would bring it to the game, to the stadium, where that's only how hockey's going to grow and how the Flyers fandom is going to grow in the city as well.
And I would just say to all of those digital media gatekeepers, to anybody else who pulls this stuff, and I count myself among this, so I'm pointing the finger at me too. Get a clue. You're not that important. You and your 5,000 followers or 180 downloads or 1,000 downloads, you're not that important. You're not that pivotal a voice. We are not as important as we think we are when we share our opinions. So chill out. Let everybody in. Build a bigger tent. That's what I tell people. Build the bigger tent. We want everybody in. We want everybody a part of it. And just like, seriously, let it be a party. Don't act like a jackass with it. Just have fun with it.
I just don't understand who it's hurting. I really
Exactly.
don't. Short of what I brought up a little bit ago about the ticket price to get into the building when your team is good versus getting down to the Xfinity Mobile Arena when the Flyers are having it down here. And maybe you just like to go. Maybe you like to take the kids. And it gets expensive to bring a family when the team starts winning.
And it does.
Like, I understand that part of it. But more fans for your team is never a bad thing. I don't understand how people view that as a negative.
And by the way, I'm a selfish bastard, and I raise my hand. I love it when more people are interested in the Flyers and Sixers, as we are the flagship station of the Flyers and Sixers, and this is where you find the games.
Absolutely. Helps us.
So I'm absolutely being selfish here too. I like it when more people are into it. It's awesome, and it's great. It creates interest and it creates dialogue. Sean, you said there were some other people in on the text line, the Davis Honda text line, that wanted to get in with us.
Yeah, and on our conversation just now, John from Fishtown checking in saying, I'm someone who watches every game and have done so for many, many years and do now. And you know what I say? The more the merrier. Let's go Flyers.
I love that.
Feel the same way. Must be a
love that.
Fishtown thing.
Well, you Fishtown people are known as being inclusive. You know what I mean? You guys are inclusive. You're you're not setting up gates. I don't understand it. Look, we're not that important. You and your podcast, you and your website, me and the radio show, whoever it is, we're not that important. Let everybody in. Let everybody enjoy it. Let's have a collective party about this Flyers run. Now, look, the Eagles are the team that's always being accused of being the team surrounded by drama. But at least they actually win championships and stuff. The latest 76ers drama to me is so aggravating. But people are blaming different parties about it. Who do you blame? We'll get into that discussion as the 7 a.m. hour begins. Kincade Salciunas returns on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
The rookie wins it for his first overtime goal. I'm Sean Rodman, and the Flyers rookie Porter Martone wins it with an overtime goal, beating the Bruins 2-1. The Flyers are now in the third playoff spot in the Metropolitan Division and are in the driver's seat with 5 games to play. Martone spoke after the game in the locker room on his overtime winner.
Yeah, it's awesome, especially for it to come in that way, too. Overtime winner as your first NHL goal, that's pretty special. And, I think just continue to keep playing my game. That's someone who I am. Want to get a lot of chances. And I think my line mates have been setting me up great. And, it's nice to see that one go in.
Flyers are back in action at the New Jersey Devils on Tuesday night. You can listen to the game right here on the Fanatic. Phillies won the series over the weekend, but lost to the Rockies yesterday. Former Philly Mickey Moniak led the way for the Rockies with a pair of home runs. Phils are back in action tonight in San Francisco. Andrew Painter gets his second career start tonight for the Phils, and Andrew Hauser gets the start for the Giants. First pitch is at 9:45. Sixers are back in action tonight after splitting its back-to-back over the weekend. Sixers are in San Antonio tonight. You can listen to the game right here on the Fanatic. Pregame coverage begins at 7. This update is brought to you by Wawa. Wawa's $6 meal deal is back. Get a sandwich, small fountain drink, and Hearst chips, all for $6. Limited time, gotta have Wawa. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and Union, 97.5 The Fanatic and The Fanatic.
Weekdays with Marks. Now more of Kincade and Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and the Fanatic app.
An hour from now, you will have your opportunity to win $1,000 as we kick off in a company-wide contest. It's the Fanatic Parlay Cash. An hour from now, you don't want to miss it. Your chance to win $1,000.
Yeah, I've been saving up my money to put this up for you guys to win.
Oh, so you are paying?
You told me it was up on me this year because Salciunas is on vacation.
With Andrew on vacation, you are required, and you're sitting in Andrew's seat, so that means the money fell under that seat today.
Yes.
So this is you're playing for Connor's cash today in a company-wide contest. I don't know why Candy Winters down at the country station, I don't know why she wasn't required to put up the $1,000. It fell on Salciunas today. He took vacation on purpose.
Yeah, that's all right. I'll step up for the people.
Or Peter and Stan down at that #1 rated show in the whole country. Why they drop $50 bills sometimes just going into their pockets.
Yeah.
So hey, $1,000 and it's on Connor today in the Fanatic Parlay Cash. You don't want to miss it. Company-wide contest coming up at the top of the next hour. All right, as we get rolling here, Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid told us all at various times in this offseason and in the past 2 seasons that he was determining his playing. That when he was going to play, Joel Embiid said, I'm going to tell you. In fact, I can quote him. He told us in 2024 that you need to feel 100% to play. That is a quote. Joel Hans Embiid. In 2025, I will quote him again. I will probably never play back-to-backs again the rest of my career. That was around less than a year ago. I'll probably never play back-to-backs again for the rest of my career. Now, fast forward to Joel Embiid oversleeping because he couldn't get to sleep because he had a cold, which is what he was not listed on the injury report with an illness. He had a cold. He had cold medicine with him, and he overslept because he couldn't get to sleep till 5 in the morning. He had trouble sleeping. He overslept a 10 o'clock meeting. Couldn't get there. And then he expected to play that night. And the Sixers said, no, you're not playing. Now, he found out that he wasn't playing because Sixers social media had it first. Now, I absolutely feel this way, Connor, on both things. There is zero reason that Joel Embiid should miss team meetings and oversleep things for 10 o'clock.
Yeah. Or any time. Like, be where you're supposed to be. I think that's a fair baseline for every single professional athlete.
I think it's also a professional thing that Connor Thomas, John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas should never find out about something regarding their job status, what they're doing at work or anything, by reading The Inquirer or Crossing Broad or The Athletic.
Yeah, poorly handled that he found out in that way. That's organizational.
So we find that thing.
Yes.
The way I look at it is this, though. Without Joel Embiid oversleeping a 10 o'clock meeting, the second action never happens.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear about, well, comment on what the Sixers did and how bad the Sixers were. Look, the Sixers, we've commented it many times. The Sixers can't get out of their own way many times. But this is on Joel Embiid, to me. And Joel Embiid talked about it after the game on Friday night about whether he should be expected to play in back-to-back games coming up against Detroit on Saturday night. Can we hear him?
I was pissed off. I wanted to play basketball. I wasn't allowed to play basketball, so I think this is more of a question of Daryl Moore and whoever makes the decisions. I think going into Miami, I was pretty sick, but I understood how important the game was, and I still want to give us a chance to go out and try to do something because of how important the game was. And same thing. Felt a little bit better going into Washington. Definitely much better than I felt against Miami. Woke up, didn't sleep, didn't sleep until probably like 5 in the morning or 6. So, with that, couldn't make it a shoot around. And, and then after that, I found out online that I wasn't playing, that night. So, that kind of caught me off guard. And, that pissed me off. But then again, I guess that make the decisions. So it doesn't matter what I think or not. I just got to follow. So, but, to answer your question, that's more of a question for Dell and them. So, they got to, I don't know what's going on. I just want to play basketball.
Okay, a lot of things to unpack there.
Yes.
There's obviously some problems with him and Daryl Morey, which we can get into along the line here. He doesn't know what's going on here. Joel, no player has an unexcused absence from a team meeting on a game day and plays that night in the NBA. None. Now, do players miss shoot-arounds and stuff like that and get told, stay in bed, do whatever? All the time. By the way, that happens all the time. But unexcused absence from team meetings? No, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And that they play that night.
Now, that
doesn't happen all the time.
This is clearly a communication issue. And it starts with Embiid not saying, because there had to have not been the conversation of hey, I want to play tonight. I'm too sick to go to shoot around.
Right.
It feels like it just didn't go, and then expects to show up later and be like, oh, sorry, I was sick this morning, but I'm ready to roll tonight. Now, we think back to some other players. I'm just going to use another guy in this town. We've all heard the stories about Allen Iverson and showing up to games sometimes and then just rolling right out there and playing and dropping 40 or 50. There is a little bit of that culture with some teams where if you are a star player that your team needs to win, sometimes they will cut you slack with that. But you're asking for something that should not be given to you or that isn't typically given to athletes, which is go about your business your own way. Don't tell the team. And they expect to just show up and play.
You cannot just not show up for things.
Yeah.
You're a $60 million a year employee. And more importantly, does everybody forget that is defending Joel's actions? Does everybody forget the team meeting, closed-door team meeting last year? When Tyrese Maxey, a youngster, had to call out Joel Embiid for this exact type of behavior?
Yeah.
Not being professional, not doing things the right way? Is that do people have amnesia to this? That Maxey had to say, we need you to do the right things, dude. We need you to be the guy who shows up early, stays late, is the leader, is professional, does the right things. That happened.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought about when I heard this sound.
He doesn't get it. That had no impact on him. It obviously went in one ear and out the other. What Maxey said, and Maxey said it, to his credit, stood up in front of all his teammates and said it.
Yeah. Now, this is a slightly different situation because he was sick.
But he wasn't sick on the injury report.
No, I know.
Which is different. When you're sick in the NBA, when you're sick, it says illness.
No, I got you. I'm just saying he didn't just show up late to something because he had a prior engagement or he was just being lazy. There was a reason for it. But you have to communicate the reason.
Correct.
And then to carry it further, there's clearly communication issues organizationally because him finding out on social media is another lack of communication.
Terrible. That should, by the way, that never should. We all agree that should never happen.
Yeah. Do they all have their phone numbers?
They do.
I'd like to check the contact books of the folks working with this team and just say, you do have a way to reach and contact your star player, Joel Embiid, right?
Well, the thing is maybe they just are he's not. Now, this could be, and by the way, it is not an excuse.
Yeah.
And I don't accept it as an excuse. But it might be I'm tired of this. We're tired of this. He doesn't know how to conduct himself. He can't even tell us what's going on. If you can't sleep till 5 a.m, you're up all night long. It is simple. And we've done it, by the way. We've done it as we get up at 4 a.m. to do this radio show. And there have been times where Andrew, Connor, me, Rodman, Austin, whoever it is, have said to each other, I'm iffy for tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling good tonight. It's 10 o'clock. It's going to be a game time decision. And I'm not feeling good. I've been vomiting, I've been whatever. We all keep each other abreast. It's simple. So if one of us if we didn't see you and didn't hear from you, we'd go, Connor gave us the heads up. We sort of know. So we already have a game plan in place to cover for it.
Like if I was sick, and I was, the weekend knockout, I was a little under the weather. And I told you guys about that. I was working. But it would be like if I didn't come in for the show. I didn't text you guys. I just didn't show up.
You just didn't show
Wednesday
up.
morning. And then you see me stretching out, getting ready for knockout that night. You'd be like, hey, bro, what the hell?
You don't get to do that.
No, nobody should.
And nobody gets to do that in a real job. Like, you don't get to just not show up for work. By the way, when you make $60 million a year, you don't get to just do that.
Now, there's another important part of this. And Joel Embiid is the last man standing. And he's always been the lightning rod of this post-process era because he's the guy. And it rests on his shoulders. But these problems have existed with other players with the Sixers organization during the last decade, like this post-process era. There have been some things where things have gotten way more dramatic than they need to be, or we get way less communication than you'd imagine we would get on various issues, some not including Joel Embiid. So while this here is Joe, you got to show up for the stuff you got to show up for, or you got to tell the team more.
Yeah.
You can't let the organization off the hook because they have had issues with this in the past and not just with Joel Embiid. So there's a lot that needs to get worked out there.
Correct.
Let's hope they just win some damn basketball games and we can worry about the playoffs.
But as I said to you earlier, without Joel Embiid's actions, the second action never happens.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it does. The Sixers looking, by the way, it's poor. It's a poor job by the Sixers. It's poor. There should be no reason why Joel Embiid is scrolling Twitter and seeing that he's not playing.
Yeah.
Like that should have been, he should have learned that way and then from somebody personally, never learned that way.
Yeah, I've just heard too many times say, like, we don't really know what's going on with this guy from folks that cover the team for Ben Simmons' situation, Markelle Fultz, all kinds of injuries over the years, and God knows there's been plenty where it's just like we don't have the information that you'd imagine they have, or they're not making it readily available. Sometimes playing stuff close to the vest is necessary for organizations. But there's a track record here on both sides that needs to be worked out.
And with him and Daryl Morey, that's not good.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of that.
Well, gut instinct, what do you make of it?
It feels like Joel is annoyed he didn't get the opportunity to play. He is not taking the onus on himself. So he's saying that's a question for the people who decide who's playing, who's pointing to Daryl Morey. I don't know that that's I have an issue with Daryl Morey professionally or personally. I think it's in this instance he's trying to say it's not on me.
So you're downplaying it a little.
I am.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I just look at, there is a cavalcade of, I have 3 quotes that I gave you from Joel Embiid within the past 18 months, where Joel Embiid is talking about not playing in back-to-backs. So Joel Embiid talking about being pissed off about not playing in back-to-backs, to me is counter to Joel Embiid's own quotes. I really want to play, and they're not letting me play. Joel, I can point to your quotes where you say you're not doing that. So what is it? Now, all of a sudden, you're all gung-ho to play? Let's just say I'm looking at that with a very critical ear and thinking, you ain't telling us the truth.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it's a weird timing for him to want to be out there back to back. I understand it because if you just look at it in the moment, competitive player, best player on this team, or one of, depending on how you look at Maxey right now, and says, I want to be out there for the biggest games of my team's season, I'm like, good, you should.
You should.
Then you look at the history, and it's a very tough thing to unpack. It's a complicated. That's why that long-ass article that came out about where Joel Embiid is at mentally and what he's gone through.
Where he picked the reporter that wrote the piece.
Whatever the case may be.
Well,
with that.
look. You handpick a reporter to write a piece to give the personal story to. There's an agenda there. You're picking the reporter.
But it is important because even something as simple as being sick and missing shoot-around turns into this long unpacking of a decade-long saga that has a lot of faults in a lot of places.
And I'm going to tell you this. We went through a lot. We went through a lot on this show together and everything like that.
Yeah, we have.
I got to tell you, somehow I managed to never oversleep 4 a.m. I didn't have a cold.
Yeah.
I never overslept. A 10 a.m.? I don't even understand how you can oversleep 10 a.m. Like, I just don't understand.
I don't know.
But,
Jet lagged?
hey.
Where have they been recently?
Yeah, exactly. Please.
I don't know.
Sean, we welcome people in on the Davis Honda text line at 610-632-0975 to share some of their thoughts on that if they would like to, so they can share some of them.
We do have one so far checking in on Embiid, and this person, no name, saying, on this scenario, I do blame Joel Embiid. On the totality of things, I do blame the 76ers for enabling Joel Embiid's behavior from the time they drafted him, but that was a different regime, and I can't blame Daryl Morey on this completely, but they did handle it wrong as well by not telling him he wasn't playing.
I think that is incredibly fair.
Yeah.
I think that's an incredibly fair summary. There's a lot of blame to go around, but it all starts with Joel Embiid. He's the primary one to blame in this story. And if he just performs like a professional, the Sixers don't catch any shrapnel.
Yeah, I'm a huge Joel guy. Like, not as big as a guy normally in the seat.
No, Andrew's probably wearing a Joel Embiid jersey waiting for his plane.
But I'll play that part today.
That's fine.
I'm a Joel Embiid guy. There's no way you can hear this about him being sick, missing, shooting around, not communicating with the team, and what went into that, and just be like, oh, well, it's the Sixers' fault. No, you got to show up to what you're supposed to show up for.
All right, Connor, I need you to explain something, though, to Phillies fans. Now, the Phillies win the series in Colorado, which they should do. They win 2 out of 3 in Colorado. I didn't expect that they would look great with Taijuan Walker on the mound. I just didn't. But I thought they'd win yesterday, and I bet them on my BetParks app, but that's a whole other issue, so I'm not going to be a bitter Betty about it. But if I look back at that series, is it unfair to say it was really just one great offensive inning and 2 great pitching performances by Nola and Luzardo?
That's certainly a way to look at it.
Is that unfair?
I don't think it's unfair. I don't. Now, what I will say is early on in the season, little bright spots are all I really need. Like, I'm not looking for the totality of a series to look awesome right now as we're just 9 games into this season. 2 out of 3 is what you need. Like, get your record in a spot where you're comfortable heading into late April, and we're not in the point where I'm really looking for anything totally specific. I had one goal ahead of the series. I talked about on the podcast going in.
Locked On Phillies podcast.
Please, go ahead and check it out if you're so inclined. Have one game in the series where you jump on a pitcher early because they had not been scoring heavy in the early innings. They did it. Now, they found 2 wins, and they had to battle, but not every game is going to have that. If you're still concerned about the offense, fair. But you saw a 13-run performance. That's pretty darn good to know, hey, they can still hit the baseball. Even if it's just Colorado, say what you want about the air. Like, I'm not saying you're unfair to have that takeaway, because that's the reality of what the series was. I'm just not at the point where that's going to bother me yet.
Yeah, and 9 games in, again, like last week when everybody was coming in with their hair on fire when they were 1-3, we were preaching chill out a little bit. I'm still preaching that. But it did bother me because I think the offense looked very anemic.
You'd rather see like 5 or 6 runs a game than just the one game where they throw a bunch of runs up and then they're quiet the rest of the series. And that's the ideal thing. They'll get to that point. They will have stretches of the season, and I believe long stretches, where they're scoring in the 4, 5, 6 runs a night type of territory. And maybe they're just not. Listen, they had a great game in game 1. They still have some guys that are figuring stuff out. Like Trey hasn't totally figured it out. He had a better series. Of course,
he had a better series.
Yeah.
Right.
Bryce went yard, but he's still few and far between when it comes to those impacted bats. They've got some stuff where they need some guys to get a little bit more on timing. But they won 2 out of 3. You'll never get mad at that.
What is the chatter this morning on the text line, Mr. Rodman?
All right. Well, to go back to our Flyers conversation, we have a gatekeeper checking in.
Oh, that's great.
This person says, John, you are a rare exception in sports radio. You were involved with the Flyers, and I know you follow. I'm sick of the younger radio personalities, though. I can tell the difference between someone who follows and knows the sport as opposed to the ones that talk about it when it's the topic of the day.
I understand that, but I really do.
Okay, explain, because you're one of the younger personalities.
I am. The Flyers are my 4th team. Hockey is my 4th sport. I get it. It's often an afterthought for me, and I'm happy to admit that. Now, while I follow the team, and being the
and you do.
network and the radio station of the Flyers, like I'm watching these games. I've watched probably, 70
right.
plus games this year because, well, we don't have anything going on at night. We're boring people. But when you hear somebody who's not, you want to hear folks that have been deeply ingrained with the team. That's what we promote ourselves with the Eagles and Phillies and Sixers, and we should do the same with the Flyers. So anyone who's like, I don't get enough in-depth Flyer stuff when they're good, it's only because the team is so rarely in this situation that it hasn't been built for, a generation of people doing this job?
It's almost a generation.
It's partially a product of the team, but as a fan, I understand how you feel that way.
Anything else, Sean?
Yeah, next up on the text line we have is another no-name checking in, but he says, I grew up with Brad, Marsh, Kerr, Hextall, LeClaire, the 80s guys, and had a personality that fit the city. Tough but capable. This kid Porter seems to fit like that. He could be a generational player like Lindros.
I'll tell you, Tim Kerr, now real estate mogul, watch out. Because this kid, Porter Martone, he's got a lot of Tim Kerr in him.
I can smell
Wayne
something.
Simmons, I love every time I run into Wayne Simmons, I love it. Just puts a smile on my face. He's got that kind of makeup.
I'm sniffing out a conversation that we're going to be having at some point in the next year.
And you can't smell.
No, I can't, but I can smell this one from a mile away. The comparison between how Michkov fits this city and how Porter Martone fits this city.
Oh, I'm sure. But Michkov, by the way, has had a really good week.
He absolutely has. And I'm not into dividing the players and pitting them against each other. This guy's a Philly guy and this guy's not. But if you don't think that conversation's coming.
I can't wait to hear Rick Tockett talk about the development of Michkov when he joins us today at 9:30 here on Kincade and Salciunas with Connor Thomas in for Andrew. But coming up, Connor thinks that he has a way we can look at other star quarterbacks and relate it back here to ours, because we have one who's been a little bit under duress. Kincade and Salciunas continues here on 97.5 The Fanatic. You know, Dan White and Associates have been in business for around 40 years. You know what they do? They specialize in retirement and financial planning. So if you've been in business for like 40 years and you're helping people handle their money, especially money for retirement, financial planning, buying that new house, paying for a college education, that means you're doing some things right. You're giving some good advice. You're making people feel comfortable. And that's the important part. They want you to find certainty in your financial future. So what they do is they host these educational seminars throughout Pennsylvania, Delaware, and Maryland, where they invite you in for a meal. They give you a talk. You get a chance to just be a passive listener. And then they invite you to one of their offices in Glen Mills, PA, Middletown, or Lewis, Delaware, and they offer you a complimentary no-risk consultation. Then you can have a personal conversation where you can talk about your money. You can talk about your dreams, and then they can help you turn your dreams into reality. Now, for a lot of you, when they stress test your retirement plan, you're going to find out you're on the right track. You might make a tweak here or there, but they're going to help you create income that's going to help support the lifestyle that you want to live in your retirement. Check out danwhiteandassociates.com. They're great people, and I'm telling you, you'll feel that peace of mind after you do it. That's danwhiteandassociates.com.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Porter Martone wins it. I'm Sean Rodman, and the Flyers win both games over the weekend, including this overtime winner yesterday against the Bruins from Tim Saunders right here on The Fanatic.
Nice and Forster, top left circle, over to Zegras. Zegras down low in front. Martone will stop the rebound. They score! Porter Martone, his first goal in the National Hockey League. It's an overtime winner.
The Flyers are now in the third playoff spot in the Metropolitan Division and are in the driver's seat with 5 games to play. Flyers are back in action on Tuesday at the New Jersey Devils. You can listen to the game right here on The Fanatic. Rick Tockett joins us at 9:30, and the Phillies won the series over the weekend but lost to the Rockies yesterday. Former Philly Mickey Moniak led the way for the Rockies with a pair of home runs. Phils are back in action tonight in San Francisco with Andrew Painter on the mound for his second career start. Adrian Hauser gets the start for the Giants. First pitch is at 9:45. Sixers are back in action tonight after splitting its back-to-back over the weekend. Sixers are in San Antonio, and you can listen to the game right here on The Fanatic. Pre-game coverage begins at 7. The men's basketball NCAA National Championship is tonight between UConn and Michigan. Tip-off is scheduled for 8:50 on TBS. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and Union, 97.5 The Fanatic and The Fanatic.
is Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
7 a.m. hours brought to you by the Bet Parks online casino and sportsbook app. Live bet sports on the Bet Parks app. Play all your favorite casino games. There's always another way to win on the Bet Parks online casino and sportsbook. Got to be 21 in Pennsylvania, Jersey, or Maryland. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. You're 28 minutes away from being able to win in the Fanatic Parlay Cash. $1,000 in our company-wide contest. You got to be listening at 8 o'clock. That comes up at the top of the hour, so be sure to be listening. Don't miss it then. Andrew Pacheco joins us for the final couple hours of the show. He's got a couple of great nuggets as we get ready for the NFL draft, which Connor is now 17 days away. And I say Connor because Connor's in for Andrew Salciunas, who is off down to the Florida West Coast.
Yeah, it must be nice.
Week. That's great.
We're going to get nice weather here, too. So he'll enjoy the time off. We'll hold the fort down with a couple playoff pushes. And, draft right around the corner.
He's a little bummed. Salciunas is bummed. We can only tell you.
Yeah.
He's like, got Flyers, just hold down the fort. I get back. So excited.
Call in.
That's good.
He's busy on vacation.
No, be on vacation. That's what we know. Connor wanted to do a little exercise, though. And it involves other star quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Because ours is under duress.
This Jalen Hurts thing, man.
I'm so tired of it.
I get it. And I'm sure that this doesn't come from nowhere. Like, I don't know what exactly the ins and outs of inside the formerly NovaCare complex, now Jefferson, what's been going on there in Jalen Hurts' time. We got a lot of competing stories coming out, and bottom line is this. While there are a lot of Jalen Hurts apologists, there are also a healthy amount, maybe too healthy amount, of Jalen Hurts critics. This is a guy that undeniably on resume is the best quarterback in the history of this franchise. He has brought you to 2 Super Bowls, won 1, outperformed Patrick Mahomes twice. What he has given this town, like take out the numbers, take out the visual aspect, take out the personality, just what he has accomplished. There are generations of Philadelphians that would have killed to be able to see what we have lived through with Jalen Hurts. And yet, it feels like for a lot of people, it's not enough for that guy. And now it's a team game, so it's not just him. But I was thinking about other high-profile quarterbacks in the NFL because of the criticism Jalen Hurts gets in this city. How would we react to these guys? Now, it's unfair to do Mahomes because...
Yeah, let's leave Mahomes out. Leave Mahomes out.
Want Patrick Mahomes? And I don't want to go with any of the 2 veteran guys like Rodgers who have a longer resume or 2 young guys who we're projecting.
Okay.
So I've got 6 names here for you. I just want everybody to think about this. We can chat about each of them quickly here. What would be the narrative about these players, not only Jalen Hurts' peers, but guys who are often ahead of him on top quarterback lists going into seasons, if they were the signal caller here, QB1 in Philadelphia?
Okay.
We'll start with one of our favorites, Justin Herbert. What is the narrative about Justin Herbert as the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles? This guy can't win one.
He can't win the big one.
Yeah.
He can't even win the little ones.
We don't even care about regular season.
No, he can't win the little ones. We would be saying if we have the Phillies or Wake Me Up in October, with Justin Herbert, it would be Wake Me Up in January.
We would not be having the prototypical quarterback conversation.
No, we would not. In fact, I would be one of the biggest people banging the drum.
I think I would be as well, and I think anyone with a brain would be here in this city. Like Donovan McNabb took you to 4 straight NFC Championship games. That guy got destroyed in this town for not winning the biggest one. Herbert can't win a big one.
He can't win anything.
So that would be someone who I would imagine would get significantly more criticism.
He'd have to melt in this town.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'd be too much.
Now let's talk about one of these undeniably popular guys, Joe Burrow. Talent's there,
right?
Did play in a Super Bowl.
He did.
Made it to one. Hasn't been back. Hasn't really been close to going back.
No, he is not.
What would be your narrative about Joe Burrow here?
Can't stay on the field.
Be part of it.
Availability would be a big question.
It would be, to me, the idea that Joe Burrow, it's time for you to make the jump.
Yeah, we believe you
it's time. You're on the clock. I would believe in Joe Burrow.
But we haven't seen it yet.
But I would believe that I would be saying, Joe Burrow, it's time for you to make the jump. You're on the clock.
Exactly.
That's what I think it would be. It would be a positive. It would still be positive, and I'd feel good about the chances, but it would be that.
there's less to say about his resume when you look at accomplishment that you would believe him being back there than Jalen Hurts, who's been there twice.
I think that's fair. Very fair.
Let's move on to Lamar Jackson. I know what the narrative would be with Lamar Jackson.
Well,
We've seen it with Joel Embiid.
How about Lamar Jackson doesn't play his best when the lights are brightest?
He'd get murdered in this town for that.
And to me, though, with like you brought up Embiid. To me, though, I sort of look at Embiid and go, the last memory I have of Embiid was that Knicks series, and I may be wrong. You guys may have a different opinion. To me, and I don't consider myself an Embiid like a backer, even a big backer. But I think Embiid had his best playoff series ever.
Yeah, it took him a while to get to that point, though. And
it did.
So,
but it did. To me, I said, this is an awakening. Like, I thought he played great in that series. I thought 4 of the 6 games, I thought he was fantastic.
But
in that Knicks series.
That's an MVP winner. Does that keep you warm at night when you think about Joel Embiid?
No.
I imagine it wouldn't with Lamar Jackson either.
No, it wouldn't.
And we could say the same about Josh Allen, who has come close. But listen, when Patrick Mahomes is his kryptonite, and Jalen Hurts has played better than him in 2 Super Bowls, talking about Mahomes there, the Allen thing, we'd love Josh Allen in this town because he's talented, but he'd get crushed.
No, Josh Allen would get crushed here.
And then the last 2 guys I have down here are Trevor Lawrence and Jared Goff.
They would absolutely be getting crushed as being totally not living up to expectations. And I believe you guys may disagree on this one also. I think Goff and Trevor Lawrence would both have been run out of this town and this organization by now.
That's exactly where I was going to go with that.
They would have cut bait.
They would not be here.
They would have traded them, cut bait, moved on.
So let me ask you, on top of all of that, as we go through the peers of Jalen Hurts who get put above him in all these lists of what matter, and I understand there's someone screaming into the radio right now, team game, if any of those guys had the talent around him, the Jalen, I get it.
By the way, I don't believe that narrative. I don't believe that narrative. Like, I really don't buy into that. I believe people would say it.
I think it's a talking point.
But I don't believe that narrative.
But I'm not going to worship at the church of that being reality.
Right. But I'm also a Jalen Hurts sort of a wonk.
But this brings me to a bigger question of what is good enough. Like, we just compared to him to some of the biggest names in the sport. Put up the resume. Put up what he's done in this town. Compare it to other Eagles quarterbacks in the past. And this is a guy that you'll still have a portion of the fan base see that article come out that Tim McManus and Jeremy Fowler worked on for ESPN. And their first response is, get this guy off my team.
I say to you, Connor, that to me, and I said it to Shukri this morning, that to me, I go, my thought is, I don't want to go into the quarterback claw machine again.
No, me either.
Because to me, Donovan McNabb is still the greatest Eagles quarterback ever, and I know people are going to say, are you kidding me? Because I truly do believe that Donovan McNabb, in the Eagles situation that Jalen Hurts has been given, would have won everything that Jalen Hurts has won and potentially more.
Okay.
That's it. And by the way, Andrew and I are brothers in arms on that, as far as we both are big Donovan guys. But I'm also a big Jalen Hurts guy. And I want Jalen Hurts extended now, this offseason. Like, I don't want to wait. Because I think Jalen Hurts is going to take a big handful of shove it up where the sun don't shine this year. I'm believing in Jalen. I believe I've seen enough of it that it's going to be, we're going to have a competent offensive coordinator. We're going to have an exciting new, and he's going to make it work.
Yeah, we're talking about the future there,
Correct.
though. And I disagree with you on that point.
But I get you. Okay, right. That's cool.
His career path is going to be different going forward than what it's been.
Absolutely.
With what his contract's going to be if they do give him an extension, or even what it is now. But I just wonder, like, what is going to be enough for some people in this family? What are you looking for? Is the only thing that's going to make you happy with the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, like Tom Brady reincarnate? Because this is pretty much as close to you can get with that without getting it. There are a handful of guys in the history of this league that go out and are like the 3 or 4 time appearing in Super Bowl types of quarterbacks.
I would take my chances. Take my chances with the Eagles, what they've had in the Jalen Hurts era. I would have taken my chances with Josh Allen or Joe Burrow to accomplish just as much as Jalen has.
Okay.
Obviously, we took Mahomes out of this argument. Anyone else? Nope.
And even that's guessing. Like,
no, but that's guessing. I know this. Josh Allen is much more likely to make the big mistake much more likely to make the big mistake. But I would have taken my chances if someone said to me, you think the Eagles could have won as much if they had Josh Allen or Joe Burrow? I would have said, yeah, I think they probably could have. But any of the others? Hell no.
Yeah,
No, you can have them.
I had that moment when we were having that conversation about the article last week where I was just like, what the hell does this guy need to do for some of you guys? And I'm not saying he's the perfect quarterback, but I'm saying we've been waiting for generations for this level of accomplishment. He has been one of the faces of it, the quarterback of that team, and now we sit here with people wanting to get him out of town. I'm not saying it's everybody or even a majority, but it just feels like there's no way, like it's a impossibility that the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, regardless of accomplishment, will ever be fully liked in this town.
It's the hardest job in town.
It's weird to me. Root for your guy. I don't know. That's just not how I'm wired.
Hardest job in town, though? How about filling in for Connor Thomas on today's headlines? We'll see if Sean Rodman's up to the challenge coming up. Plus, we'll check the text line. And our poll question from Dr. Avidan Appel. I'm sure it's strong and hard. That'll be coming up as Kincade Salciunas continues here on The Fanatic.
The unfiltered high school athlete.
97.5 The Fanatic and the Fanatic app.
All right, Flyers Mania has just been going crazy all morning here in the Fanatic and all over town. What now? Do you go for orange? Do you go for the white with the black with the? Just don't tell me you go with the black jersey or the black color scheme.
See, I'm wearing the black Flyers hat right now. The draft
the black
hat.
color scheme is great. That's a draft hat.
Yeah, but I always go with the orange predominantly. You go with the main color of the team.
I think you got to go the main color, right, Rodman?
Yeah, you got to go orange. Main
Even
color.
though you didn't today?
I did not. I woke up, wasn't thinking about it. It was bad on me.
You're the one that our texter or tweeter was talking about earlier about the young media. This is not in on the Flyers. See, part of the problem in there.
Yeah, I'm the problem.
How about
I'm the
tomorrow?
problem.
Game day.
I'll be ready.
All right, Rodman's ready tomorrow. You will not oversleep for that one.
I need you.
Yeah, it's not 10 a.m.
I've got my gritty headband. It might be a little bit wet because the last time I wore it was for the dunk tank.
I'm not wearing that.
You're not in?
No. I'm in, but I'm not wearing a wet, sweaty headband.
I think the only way you could be in is if you're wearing. I've washed the headband.
I want you to be.
I
want you to be in on it.
I am in. I'm
Well,
wearing
you're
my
wearing it
Flyers hat
tomorrow.
already.
You gonna wear it tomorrow?
I'm giving it to Sean because I need to see his commitment to this hockey team. You in for that?
Sean, you in?
All right, I'm in.
All right,
do you want me to wear Wednesday? Because Austin's in this chair tomorrow.
Both
yeah,
days.
that's it. Okay, you can
The
wear
rest
it
of the week.
Wednesday after the big win.
Sure.
Hey, let's check out today's headlines with our own Sean Rodman.
Today's headlines with Sean, no relation to Dennis Rodman.
All right, and today's headlines is brought to you by Lundy Law. For over 70 years, Lundy Law has been fighting for injured people. If you need them, remember the name Lundy Law, your injury lawyers. Visit LundyLaw.com. That's LundyLaw.com. All right, so all three today, we're actually going to stick with Philadelphia sports. And one, we're going to start it off with a poor note, with a historic stat for the Phillies. I don't know if you saw this over the weekend, but the Phillies are the first team in MLB history that are allowed 200,000 hits.
Oh, my gosh.
Ever. The next closest is the Braves, and they're about, I don't know, say 700 away.
Now, wait a minute. It's
the first team to allow 200,000 hits.
Wait a minute. How could the Braves be
history.
700 away?
700 away.
The Braves are older than the Phillies, aren't they?
That just shows how historically bad the Phillies have
Yeah.
gotten.
Now, here's something. People overreact to these. I saw so many tweets this weekend. Oh, you don't know what it's like to be a lifelong Phillies fan, all of this disappointment. They're the oldest single-name, single-town franchise in North American sports.
Correct.
So there are a bunch of teams that'll never even be in the mix for any of these compilation stats. It's annoying to see, but people get overly upset about. How many of those 200,000 hits do you think you saw personally? You out there listening right now or tweeting about it.
And if you're Connor's age, Andrew's age, Rodman's age, I invite you to do as Dr. Evil said, zip it, because you've lived through a lot of good.
Yes.
I lived through a lot of garbage.
But yeah, let's hope they cut down and some other teams catch up to them a little bit more this year. And
Especially the Braves.
Yeah.
Let's let the Braves catch up a little bit, please.
Why not?
Well, now that I've annoyed you enough, I'm just here to annoy everybody some more. And this is more so we're going to rally around. But I don't know, did you hear the Rangers announcers over the weekend taking shots at Philadelphia fans and
why?
Leaving the ballpark early?
Really?
They decided to boo him here because he didn't.
I'm sorry, this is a different one.
Okay.
Good Texas loud is the idea.
Well, everybody who came to the game is still here. Unlike Philadelphia, where 40% leave the building at this point, no matter what the score.
That dude's going nowhere, I can assure you.
What a dope. What a dope. Who is that? Who is that?
I mean,
what a dope. Oh, man.
If you don't know about Philadelphia sports, you don't know about Philadelphia sports.
Are the Texas Rangers? I've been to Arlington. They have no that place has no atmosphere. What is he speaking of?
So that comes from in the ninth inning. Their TV broadcast caught a lot of fans leaving the building when the Phils were down 3-0. In that game was about 40 degrees. The second
Which
game
was
of the season
terrible,
on that
exactly.
Saturday. I don't know if y'all know about the difference between Texas and Philadelphia weather-wise in March and April, but it's pretty damn cold.
Or a dome.
Yeah, should people have stayed? Absolutely, because you end up forcing extra innings. But saying that 40% of Philadelphia fans are leaving the building by this point, maybe you haven't seen what that building looks like in October or any time of the year. Fans aren't going in.
Oh, I got a new enemy. Seriously, I got a new enemy, man.
They're not worth our time. The Rangers aren't going in.
I guess that's the truth.
All right, well, you might have another new enemy. George Blaha of FanDuel Sports Network.
Yeah.
Calling out some Philadelphia fans because the Boo Birds were out yesterday as well when Tobias Harris was on the court.
I decided to boo him here because he didn't average 30, but it's hard to score a bunch of points when, for one thing, Joel Embiid's on your team.
Whoa. We're going to talk more about Tobias Harris later because there's another angle to this in the game that we saw between the Sixers and Pistons. But listen, understand the history. The guy was in this town. He majorly underachieved, and we're going to boo him. We're going to hold a grudge against Tobias Harris. And bring Joel Embiid up in there is just, that's the low-hanging fruit of an NBA announcer going after, like, oh, he's the lightning rod guy, so we're going to just bring Joel Embiid. Oh, how are they booing Tobias Harris? If you don't know the history, you don't know the history.
That's interesting.
Tobias Harris also talking a little trash. I don't know if you saw that as well.
We will discuss later on in the show. John has a question about that.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a really interesting discussion. But so many announcers from outside of the city, people like to make fun of Philadelphia. We've always had it. We're always going to have it. But don't poke the Hornets' nest. You're going to learn the hard way.
That's just incredible to me. I do find it funny, though, that, like, the venom towards Tobias Harris makes me chuckle.
I totally understand.
The people that we apologize over and over for, who have underachieved, can't make a 10 o'clock alarm, don't want to play back-to-backs, things like that, and then that we just excuse make for over and over again. That just get all the excuses made for them. I mean, look, Tobias Harris, nobody in our listening audience would have turned down that contract.
No, it's more on the organization than him.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like everybody's like mentions how much money he makes.
But
nobody would have turned down if your employers come to you and say, "We want to pay you that." You're not going to go, "Oh, no. I'm not worth that. Don't pay me that." You're going to say, "Show me the money. I'll take it."
But every single person in our listening audience could have scored as many points as him in a closeout playoff game that he played in. So I understand both sides, and what he said on the court is going to be something that'll be very fun to talk about.
Yes, it will be.
And DeCecco, I'm excited for DeCecco's thought on that, too, from the more analytical reporter mind, too.
Yeah, he is a little analytical at times. He gets a little bit analytical. And Andrew's joining us for a couple hours, and he's going to give us a few tidbits during the second half of the show that are going to get you ready for the draft, because there's 17 days to the draft. So he's got a few of those things to us. But honestly, look, the Flyers conversation, the Sixers conversation is not going anywhere, because we're in a September playoff push, and he's just like us. He's fully entrenched in all that conversation. So that's not going anywhere. You have a chance to win $1,000 coming up at the top of the hour. So you don't want to miss any of that. And Flyers coach Rick Tockett joins us at 9:30. So, I mean, it's unbelievable. If you turn the dial, you're missing a lot. So, but to start the 8 o'clock hour, I got a plea to Jalen Hurts on behalf of Jalen Hurts. But I got a feeling that Andrew and Connor are going to tell me, Jalen, don't listen to Kincade. The second half of Kincade and Salciunas comes your way next, plus a chance to win $1,000 on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
The Flyers' new rookie wins it. I'm Sean Rodman, and the Flyers win it in overtime thanks to a Porter Martone goal, beating the Bruins 2-1 in overtime. The Flyers are now in the third playoff spot in the Metropolitan Division and are in the driver's seat with 5 games to play. Here is Martone after the game in the locker room on his game winner.
Yeah, it's awesome, especially for it to come in that way, too. Overtime winner is your first NHL goal. That's pretty special. And, I think just continue to keep playing my game. That's someone who I am. Want to get a lot of chances. And I think my line mates have been setting me up great. And, it's nice to see that one go in.
Flyers are back in action on Tuesday night at the New Jersey Devils. You can listen to the game right here on The Fanatic. Head coach Rick Tockett joins us at 9:30. And the Phillies won the series over the weekend, but lost to the Rockies yesterday. Mickey Moniak led the way for the Rockies with a pair of home runs. Phillies are back in action tonight in San Francisco. Andrew Painter gets his second career start, and Adrian Hauser gets the start for the Giants. First pitch is at 9:45. Sixers are back in action tonight after splitting its back-to-back over the weekend. Sixers are in San Antonio tonight. You can listen to the game right here. Pre-game coverage begins at 7. And Andrew DeCecco joins us next, and this update is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Every now and then you find a deal where you get more and pay less. Now that's a good deal. That's Straight Talk Wireless on Verizon's 5G network. Find it exclusively at Walmart and StraightTalk.com. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the Flyers, Sixers, and Union, 97.5 The Fanatic and The Fanatic.
Parlay Cash.
Hey, it's time for it. Your chance to win $1,000. The contest keyword is contest. We're starting it out simple today. You got until 25 minutes after the hour to enter it on the Fanatic app or at 975thefanatic.com, or you can text it to the special contest short code 45911. One random entry is going to win $1,000. It's a company-wide contest, and winners are going to get a call from Beasley directly. So be sure to answer your phone. Don't be screening. Contest rules are available for you at 975thefanatic.com. The Fanatic's Parlay Cash is standing up straight thanks to Iron Mountain Men's Health. You're going to have 5 chances to win each weekday. 8 o'clock with Kincade and Salciunas, 10 o'clock and noon with Middays with Marks, and 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock with our friends at Unfiltered. Don't miss your chance to win. Contest! You have until 25 minutes past the hour. Good luck.
If you want to see their wonderful faces, check out youtube.com/975 The Fanatic Philadelphia. More of Kincade and Salciunas coming your way now.
I love that Andrew DeCecco said, hey, I know Salciunas is out. By the way, he hasn't left yet. He did call me from the gas station.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, just to check in. He is getting ready to leave, get the car gassed up and everything. He's like my father. Like my dad would do all these things the day that we were leaving on vacation. He's getting the car gassed. He's doing all these things. I would have done that like 2 days ago.
Yeah, well.
He's getting it done, but we
That
appreciate
sounds
it.
like you.
DeCecco's in. Connor Thomas is in.
We've got our Andrew quotient now filled.
This is
good.
I'm being bullied by Andrews this morning. It's great. Good to see you, Mr. DeCecco.
Great to see you guys as well. How was the weekend?
It's fantastic.
Damn, ask Porter Martone. How great was that? Huh?
Oh, yeah. 19 years old. Are you kidding me?
That's one hell of an Easter.
8 days on the roster, and he's making plays like that.
Just think of it this way, is that how much does it take in this town, and I thought about it with you, when you can actually do anything that bumps the Eagles slightly off the front page? Porter Martone and the Flyers are doing it, and that's exciting.
Absolutely. I think this city is starved for playoff hockey, and you're seeing a resounding support for the team right now, and rightfully so.
It's been an incredible spring weekend. Obviously, we're 17 days to the draft, and Andrew DeCecco's got a couple of really good little segments for us that he's going to be able to get you ready for some things that you got to be looking out for as we approach the draft, and that coverage coming up 17 days away. The Phillies win their first series of the year on the road against Colorado with 2 great pitching performances and a huge first inning on Colorado's opening day. Sixers get a gift from Toronto yesterday, so they're sitting in the 6th spot with 4 to play. And the Flyers' 2 huge wins puts them in a playoff position with 5 games to play.
It's a beautiful thing. And we've been talking about the level of buy-in for folks around town this morning. And John asked an interesting question, how much was yesterday the buy-in point for a lot of fans that might have been late to the train so where have you been at with this? Have you been, because I know you've got all of the stuff getting ready for the draft. This is a busy time for you, Andrew.
Yeah.
When did you decide, okay, or maybe you're still waiting to see more from the Flyers to where you're bought in on this playoff run?
No, I was bought in. Look, I think hockey is probably my favorite sport to see in person, and it doesn't take a lot to get me on board, especially when you see a young team like that. They fly around. There's a ton of energy, and you can feel the energy in the city. It's palpable. So it doesn't take a whole lot for me to be invested in hockey.
Excuse me. Is it because of the fact that you get to just enjoy hockey as a fan?
That's exactly right.
I've watched you watch football.
That's exactly right. You're not inundated with assessing it and taking notes and all that. At least from my perspective, I'm able to kind of just watch it and enjoy it and see where it goes.
It was so great to see all that energy in the building and everything, and it does feel like the Flyers have captured everybody's spirit.
Yeah, and when we take our next look at our poll of the day, it seems like folks have been in longer than just yesterday, if you believe the responses there.
Well, we want people to be in long on the poll. It's Iron Mountain Men's Health has the poll. What is the update on our poll question of the day?
All right. Our question of the day is, how have you been handling your buy-in for the Flyers playoff push? And in first at 64%, been bought in for a while. Second place, still need to see more at 21%, and bought in yesterday at 15%.
I expected still need to see more to be last. So that's a little surprising, even though it's not that close. I mean, it's not that far apart.
Now, we just made it to 8 o'clock. We know that the poll normally shifts a little bit when the people that get to sleep in a little bit more. They're not waking up at 6,
like Joel
half
Embiid.
asleep. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he sleeps till middays with Marks, though.
I don't know if he's voting on the poll.
Yeah, Joel doesn't ever vote in our poll because he's usually asleep because he's up till 5 a.m.
But interesting stuff there. Looks like a lot of folks have been bought in for longer than just yesterday on the Flyers, which you should have been. They've been making this push for a little bit, and we hope we continue to get that.
Yeah, I think we will. I think we will, as long as they continue this upward trajectory, and focus is going to be key here because now they're in a unique position.
Darian, one of our listeners, says thoughts and prayers to Joel. Not sick enough to be listed by the team on the illness injury report. That Sudafed can be really, really tough stuff.
NyQuil.
NyQuil, yeah. The purple drink, it's tough. Look, I've got a plea to Jalen Hurts. And it's on behalf of Jalen Hurts. But I'm thoroughly convinced that in my gut instinct that Andrew DeCecco and Connor Thomas are going to hear my plea and they're going to say, John, could you just shut up on this? Don't follow his advice, Jalen. So I'm going to just give it to you here. I'm tired of the anonymous and the not-so-anonymous attacks being leveled on the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts. The latest to do it was Levante David, excuse me. Levante David running his mouth, and let's hear a little bit of that.
Jalen Hurts was never he's never a guy who we worried about when we played the Eagles. So our game plan was always because they have a great offensive line. You got to stop the run. So you got to be where you're supposed to be to stop the run, and then that may open up the passing game. But he was never asked to do so much.
Yeah, okay. So we're getting that now. So now even opponents' teams are jumping in because it seems like Jalen Hurts is the guy that now is going to he's going to take shrapnel from everywhere. And every one of these 2-bit podcasts is now going to have Jalen Hurts as their content of the day because they know it gets clicks.
Yeah. Now, he was on with Skip Bayless,
traction.
and we know how Skip Bayless feels about the Eagles as a noted Cowboys fan, so I'm not sure how much goading was put into getting Levante David to say that, but it's an interesting have you heard that from around the league, Andrew? The teams viewing Jalen Hurts in that way of, we don't have the game plan for this guy?
Namely, just the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, they were captured via sound in one of the games about
the first playoff game of 21.
Right. And Todd Bowles, I guess, has alluded to it. But other than that, not so much personally. I just watch in how teams play the Eagles. If you look at the first half and the second half of games, they played the Eagles differently, and they kind of disguised what they were doing to try to keep Jalen, on his toes.
Well, after the Tim McManus piece last week, which, by the way, the Tim McManus, Jeremy Fowler piece was incredibly well written, incredibly well done. So I like both men. I've known them both a long time, and I respect their reporting big time. The Jeff McClain piece took it a whole nother direction and different level, and you know how I think about Jeff. But you know what I say? Enough's enough. Enough's enough. Jalen, it's time for you to go on the offensive. And it does not have to be scorched earth. But when you get the opportunity to speak the next time, I think it's important for you to not do the cliched, I don't pay attention to anything, I don't hear anything, I don't read anything, because everybody would know that that's a lie. You do. And you know what? You have every reason to be offended because you got a lot of these people that don't have half of your resumes that are out there chucking grenades at you and your reputation. Now, I'm not saying that Jalen's probably blameless in some of these interactions and critiques. He probably has brought some of this on himself. But you know what? I've had enough of it. Because one thing I've learned about in life is those who hide behind eggs on Twitter, anonymous quotes, are guys, men, who can't stand up and stand behind what they say. That's one of the things about this job. If you have an opinion, you have to say it on a camera. You have to say it with a camera in your face, with a microphone in your face, and then everybody hears what you say, and you have to be held accountable for it. I'm tired of Jalen Hurts facing all the anonymous critics who hide behind anonymous quotes, sneak by their lockers and go to the media member of choice and try to tear this man down. Jalen, you may be a bigger man than me. You may be a guy that says, I'll let it all roll off my back. I don't care about those people. I'll swat them away like flies and not listen. I'm just telling you, I think enough's enough. Because I believe, and this is just my own personal belief, at some point, I start taking it as a little bit of weakness.
Enough's Enough is a good band from the late 80s, early 90s. But, yeah, look, what good would that do to throw something out there and counter what everyone's saying? I mean, that would be out of character for Jalen. I think that he's always been a stoic figure who kind of just surges ahead and focuses on the task at hand. And I don't know that getting into a war of words or being overly defensive on a certain topic, that doesn't suit Jalen, because one of his most endearing characteristics, if you will, is that he is sort of above it all when it comes to criticism. I'm sure he hears it. I'm sure he sees it, but he doesn't necessarily take that and let it shape who he is or affect who he is on the field or how he goes about his business.
From all the critiques that we've heard and we've been reading and everything, though, Connor, does it seem like the stoic Hurts, the aloof Hurts, the I don't let that affect me Hurts is endearing himself to teammates and endearing himself to people in the organization that are literally tearing the man down behind the scenes, hiding out, cloaked with anonymous quotes?
No, but if let's say you're player X or executive X or coach X who was quoted in that article anonymously, who had that stuff to say about where Jalen Hurts is right now. And then you see Jalen Hurts come out and be like, screw all those people. Say something to me if you have something to say, but I don't agree with all that. I'm working hard. I'm this guy. This is my resume. And you come out and you defend yourself in that manner. I don't think it makes the people with the criticisms of Jalen Hurts less likely to critique him. And we just saw this past offseason, we got a perfect case study in this. Bryce Harper had the not elite comments from Dave Dombrowski said. And Harper decided that he was going to say that it was wild that Dombrowski said that. He was going to wear the shirt that said not elite on it. He turned it into something that he refuted. And whether he was right or not, not even the season, the World Baseball Classic, the guy's getting demolished because of the pressure that's put on him for what his performance needs to be this year. I don't think as the quarterback of the Eagles, you need to add any fuel to the fire of the criticism you're already getting.
I'm going to just say, though, the Harper comparison, and Andrew, take it this way, as a member of the media who's in there at lockers all the time, I think comparing Harper to Hurts is not comparable in this town. Hurts has accomplished a hell of a lot more than Harper has.
Yes, oh, yeah, he absolutely
So to me, Hurts has a resume that he shouldn't be facing as harsh a critique. And I would tell you the critique on Harper was he was compared to Freddie Freeman.
Right.
He was compared to one of the best in the game.
But let me ask you.
And to me, he took offense to that. I think it's him. He came off petty and thin-skinned. Jalen Hurts has, to me, every reason to be pissed off about all this.
Right, but let me ask you this. If you offer a rebuttal, if you're Jalen Hurts, what does that do for you? Because you're showing that's getting to you, or you're responding to something that he, throughout his career, he's always made it clear that he's solely focused on the task at hand, winning and doing whatever it takes to win. So why would you involve yourself with any of that extracurricular?
Okay, you remember the piece that Connor referenced earlier about Joel Embiid? That he chose the writer to write the piece, and he gave it specifically to that writer, and he wrote the long form, let's get to know Joel Embiid and what really makes him tick. If Jalen Hurts came to you and said, Andrew, I want you to write that piece because I'm tired of all this crap going on. I need you to write a piece like that. And you're free to be the journalist with integrity that you are. Mm-hmm. You can bring up things that are critical of me, whatever in it. But I want you to be able to tell the story from my perspective too.
Yeah.
That I've never told before. Do you think that story would benefit him? Because everybody seemed to think it benefited Embiid when he did it.
That's interesting because there is a large, I would say a large contingent of people that are of the belief and understand the impact that Jalen has on the field and also off the field. He's very involved in the Philadelphia communities. And so, yeah, I mean, I think there's always going to be a majority or a faction of people, if you will, that are going to have something to say. So if you offer a rebuttal, it doesn't mean that it's going to change. It doesn't mean that it's going to go away. I mean, 14 months ago, he was a Super Bowl MVP. We don't have to go through the resume. But despite all that, there's always going to be this critique. When you're the quarterback, especially one in Philadelphia, you're always inevitably going to have a target on you. You're always going to be a topic of conversation, right or wrong. And so you say something now, and maybe 2 years down the road, you have to offer another rebuttal. And you know what I mean? Like, I don't know that it would ever go away.
Yeah, like, I get what you're saying, John, and I understand. Like, he's got the resume. He has every right to be like, yo, have you seen what I've done? But, like, Splash Reaper 0324, one of our great folks on the YouTube, says, what shuts up the critics? Jalen going out there and winning like he has been. But he's got the resume, and he still gets these level of critiques. So at some point,
so it doesn't shut them up. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't shut these people up.
But
nothing. I don't think anything will. I mean, exactly. I just mentioned winning a Super Bowl 14 months ago and being the MVP of that game, and still there's a lot of folks on social media saying what he can't do, and he's making he's surrounded by superior talent compared to some of his peers, and there's always going to be these slights and qualifiers, and I don't know that that's ever going to go away.
Do you believe it's just being the Eagles quarterback? That it's just you're the Eagles quarterback, and that's what you're going to face?
Well, if you look back at Eagles quarterbacks in years past, Carson Wentz faced scrutiny. Michael Vick, Donovan McNabb, Ron Jaworski. I mean, you know, John, you've been in the city a long time.
Yep.
I don't know that there's been a quarterback who's come through here, aside even Nick Foles in the 2015 season when he was starting and was off to a shaky start. He wasn't above criticism. So, I mean, I think it's exclusive to this position here in Philadelphia. And I would also add the offensive coordinator position might be the most heavily scrutinized job title in the NFL.
You can't win as an offensive coordinator.
Not in Philadelphia.
Not in any city. I can tell you that.
Yeah, it's tough. There was some dude who, I don't know whatever happened to him. I think he used to be on these airwaves. They wanted to trade Nick Foles right after the Super Bowl because he thought you'd get value from him.
By the way, I also can raise my hand.
You did too. That was Andrew Salciunas.
I wanted him traded too.
But the point is this, and I think you're absolutely right. There's never going to be, and there never has been, a quarterback in Philadelphia that doesn't face immense criticism, and I don't think the resume will ever save you.
Let's check the Davis Honda text line. Davis Honda taking great care of the Davis Honda difference in Burlington. What do we got, Sean?
Yeah, checking in on our Jalen Hurts conversation. Pete from Drexel Hill says, I'd love if Jalen clapped back at the critics, but then those same critics would attack him for it. He'd been labeled as weak and immature despite those being two of his strengths.
Like, do you think that, like, the Embiid thing that you brought up, which is funny because I didn't have it in my notes, but then when you brought it up, it made me think of it. Joel Embiid got that writer to do that article, I think, for the exact reason that I'm sort of suggesting Jalen Hurts needs to clap back.
Yeah, just kind of explain your perspective. It's a different. I wouldn't count that as clapping back. Like you'd have to be really careful about how it was framed.
Yeah,
to not be like screw these people for
that's
saying
why I wanted DeCecco to do it.
Yeah,
I knew it would be done well.
Well, he can absolutely handle it.
Balanced.
Right.
Yes.
I'd love to hear Jalen's perspective on this. Like, I don't think that's something we'll ever get because of the personality of Jalen and how he handles his business. I would love to hear that story. I just don't think he comes out on the other side in a more advantageous situation. Even if it doesn't hurt him, it doesn't do anything for where the criticism comes from.
Would you tell him that? If he approached you about writing this piece, would your advice be, I don't know how this benefits you?
No, my question would be, how do you believe this benefits you or this would benefit you?
Oh, that's a good one.
You know what I mean?
Mine would be
because I would want to hear
check or direct deposit after I write it.
I would want to hear.
Smart. You have integrity.
I would want to hear his viewpoint on that, and then I would also we would engage in a conversation about how to best approach it, and what he would expect to get out of that story or hope to get out of that story. And I'm always going to strive for balance. That's something that I take a lot of pride in, and objectivity.
You think the coverage of Jalen Hurts is balanced in this town?
I thought the ESPN story was immensely.
I thought it was fantastically done.
I thought it was very balanced.
People described that as a hit piece, and I didn't find it that way at all. First of all, if you say to me McManus and Fowler, those two gentlemen, I would say you're not going to convince me that either one of them would participate in a hit piece.
That was balanced. They presented both sides.
And they did.
I heard hit piece nationally a lot more than I heard it locally.
Yeah, and
which is interesting to me.
They obviously aren't. They don't have a grasp on what a hit piece is. That's a one-sided story that is meant to really shed light on shortcomings of an individual or a situation, and this provided perspective from both sides.
And that's also like if you're a national reporter or someone outside of this market, we know how people feel about Philadelphia and this fan base and this culture around this team, and they've been really talented. Takes me back to the tush-push thing where, hey, when the Eagles were good at it, they wanted it gone. When they weren't good at it, now nobody cares. You see a little weakness in a team that has been really competitive at the top of the sport. You call it a hit piece. You build up the drama so that maybe it causes a rift with the Eagles. I don't know. I thought it was balanced as well, like you guys did.
Hey, what do you think about it? Is it time for Hurts to go on the offensive against these type of attacks, or is there nothing to gain? You can share your thoughts on the text line, 610-632-0975. Coming up, though, too, Andrew DeCecco is going to tell us the Eagles' weakest two position groups 2 weeks out of the draft. And Flyer Mania continues to just engulf the city. We've embraced it, and I think you are too. Kincade Salciunas continues here on The Fanatic. Going to tell you right now, there is so much buzz coming up, and it's about this weekend at Benari Jewelers in Exton and Newtown Square. It's the best prices of the year. It's the biggest sale ever. The engagement rings and wedding bands are going to be amazing because their pricing is tremendous. As a matter of fact, you're going to save up to 20% on rings, and some of the top bridal designers will be there with their entire lines for you to peruse them. Benari Jewelers, Exton Newtown Square. They've flown in their entire collections, the ones she loves, on Benari's Instagram. Best of all, with this sale right now, up to 20% on virtually all Benari's engagement rings and wedding bands. Best pricing of the year. Now something even more special for you. Interest-free financing with approved credit. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That's this week. You're going to get details right now if you go to BenariJewelers.com. You're not going to want to miss it, guys. Don't miss the best ring buying opportunity ever. Are you one of those guys who's been dragging your heels about getting that ring? It's almost like I can look at some of them right in the eye. Go to Benari Jewelers, Exton and Newtown Square. Tell them John Kincade sent you in for the biggest event of the year.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
The rookie wins it for the Flyers. I'm Sean Rodman, and the Flyers win both games over the weekend, including this overtime winner yesterday against the Bruins. Here's Tim Saunders right here on The Fanatic.
Tyson Forster, top left circle, over to Zegras. Zegras down low in front. Martone will stop the rebound. They score! Carter Martone, his first goal in the National Hockey League. It's an overtime winner.
The Flyers are now in the third playoff spot in the Metropolitan Division and are in the driver's seat with the 5 games to play in the NHL. Flyers are back in action on Tuesday at the New Jersey Devils. You can listen to the game right here on The Fanatic. Rick Tockett joins us at 9:30. And the Phillies won the series over the weekend but lost to the Rockies yesterday. Former Philly Mickey Moniak led the way with a pair of home runs for the Rockies. Phillies are back in action tonight in San Francisco. Andrew Painter gets the start for the Phils, his second career start, and Adrian Hauser is scheduled to start for the Giants. First pitch is at 9:45. Sixers are back in action tonight as well after splitting back-to-back over the weekend. Sixers are in San Antonio tonight, and you can listen to the game right here on The Fanatic. Pre-game coverage begins at 7. This update is brought to you by Staples. From posters and presentations to labels and loyalty cards, Staples has all the print to boost your brand. Shop now in store, or you can shop online. Staples, that was easy. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and Union, 97.5 The Fanatic and The Fanatic.
to John Connor, Kincade Salciunas, Philly Sports Talk, 97.5 The Fanatic and the Fanatic app.
What a big day it's been, and everybody seems fired up all over town, and the gatekeepers are still taking offense. Yeah, people have been talking sheesh on them, and then they act different when the Flyers start winning. Yeah, no sheesh. You're kidding. When you're bad for like a generation, and then people start talking nice about them when they're good, yeah, that's usually the way it goes. Welcome to the world. Sorry to break that to you, if that just is your revelation of the day. Oh, my gosh. You mean when my team starts to play well and they're good, people will start to be like, applaud them and say positive things about them? And then when they're bad, people are going to be critical of them. Philly Dad times 4? First of all, congratulations. You're very virile. I like that. But, I mean, give me a break.
Yeah.
Like, for God's sakes. Yes, when teams are crappy, they're going to earn the critique. Give me a break.
I'm going to be driving the bandwagon straight through that gate. You can't gatekeep against a bus with a bunch of Flyers fans on who are jumping in for this postseason run. It's a good thing for the team. It's a good thing for the city. Let people have fun.
I mean, come on.
Maybe it's my algorithm, but I don't see a ton of gatekeeping on my timeline. But I'm sure it's out there.
There you go. And Philly Dad times 4. Who cares? You guys talk about the Flyers for 2 minutes. Well, he hasn't been listening to this show at least the last month when they've been really relevant. No, so he's wrong.
We discussed it for over 2 minutes since I've been here. Yeah.
Exactly. Before, Andrew DeCecco's got some good Eagles information getting us ready for the draft. But first, I want you to hear Porter Martone post-game yesterday. As the Flyers come away with a huge win, he gets his first career goal. And let's just say the young man's pretty excitable.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. Get a 5-on-3 there in overtime, pretty rare. That really never happens. And, go on the ice and, Devo made a good play to me in the middle and just buried the rebound and, to see that crowd pop. And that's a big 2 points for us.
You've seen since your debut game how hard you've been working to get that goal, the shots you got. How much is it of a relief for you to finally just get it in the net?
Yeah, it's awesome, especially for it to come in that way, too. Overtime winner as your first NHL goal, that's pretty special. And, I think just continue to keep playing my game. That's someone who I am. Want to get a lot of chances. And I think my line mates have been setting me up great. And, it's nice to see that one go in.
What was that moment like for you during that crowd reaction?
Yeah, it was awesome. Zegras got me in a pretty good headlock there, so I didn't really get to see it much. But, it was awesome to get that win in front of these fans.
Has the moment, it doesn't seem like the moment ever feels too big for you. Like, you score the overtime goal, the pass between your legs, not everybody can try that move. I know you said you worked on your wall play, but to do it in that spot, in a game with this level of importance.
Yeah, I think for me, ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to be an NHL player. And now that I'm here, I'm just going to, continue to play my game and do what I do best.
Love it. Love the energy. He seems like he's 30 years old. He really does. He seems like he's 30. Like he
sounds like a veteran.
He really does.
Polished young man.
He really does. And that's
looks like
great.
it on the ice, too.
And by the way, Flyers hockey tomorrow night here on the Fanatic as the Flyers have a big game. Another big game. They're all big right now. 5 games to go. Flyers play the Devils. You'll hear it tomorrow night right here on the Fanatic. Andrew DeCecco's been in the lab. He's 17 days to the draft. And so, Andrew, I said, give us a few things that we can talk about on Monday. Now, Thursday, we're going to get a lot more into the draft. But I wanted to know a little bit about something that he wanted to give us some things that we could just sort of stew over. And one of them is he tells us he's got the weakest 2 position groups 17 days out for the Philadelphia Eagles heading into the draft. Tell us a little bit more about them.
Well, I would say edge rusher, first and foremost. They lost their headliner in Jalen Phillips. And when I say headliner, that's the player that can absorb the most amount of snaps and really open things up for teammates. J-Lux Hunt, Nolan Smith. I think J-Lux Hunt has the potential to eventually be a headliner. I've been really bullish on him since he's been drafted, but he's probably right now a high-end number 2, Nolan Smith being a perfect 3 because the physical way that he plays the game, it might lend itself to seeing a snap share reduction just for preservation purposes. And I think they really do need a headline player. Now, whether that comes via trade or perhaps even in the first round of the NFL draft, then they have Arnold Ebiketie and Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. Tryon-Shoyinka is going to have to battle to make the roster. But that's kind of the state of their edge group right now. And then the other position, guys, I would say is safety. Drew Makuba, everything revolves around him this year, and he's coming off the fractured ankle that he suffered in late November. And he's a player that the Eagles are obviously very high on, and he's a rangy, modern-day safety, can take the football away. But the sample size is relatively small. And then beyond that, you have Marcus Epps. I think that was a sound signing, something that I thought would eventually happen. But he's more of a 3. They traded away Sidney Brown. Sidney Brown was a special teams maven. They signed J.T. Gray. And Michael Carter II is a name that everyone should be keeping an eye on because the Eagles value his versatility and what he could add to safety. But as you can see, there's no obvious answer as to who would be the complement to Drew Makuba.
Now, am I overvaluing guys we've seen more of in this town? Because to me, safety feels like the significantly weaker spot, or at least the more questionable spot right now. And you had edge rusher 1. I look at Jalen Hurts and Nolan Smith, and I'm like, at least I know you have a baseline with those guys. Like Drew Makuba's played half of an NFL season, and those other names are more depth-feeling guys. Like I would go safety 1. Why do you not go safety 1?
Well, everything starts with stopping the run and getting after the quarterback. And the Eagles have prioritized that position. It's a premium position in the NFL. Safety, not so much. And historically, that's not a position that the Eagles traditionally value. So I look at edge rusher and what they have, and this is the same top 2 guys that they went into last offseason with. Then they had to make the splash at the deadline to get in that headliner, as I like to say, in Jalen Phillips.
Yeah. See, Connor, that's exactly where I was going. Is that exactly what you were thinking? And I thought you were going to say safety first.
The Vic Fangio defense, too, because we know how much he values having someone back there at safety, like a veteran presence. And maybe that's what worries me a little bit more about that, too.
Yeah, so it's funny you mentioned that. Linebacker and safety are the 2 positions in a Vic Fangio defense that much is required. And there is a significant amount of responsibility placed on their shoulders. That's why Reed Blankenship had more value probably in the Eagles system than he may have somewhere else because of his instincts, his knowledge, his ability to sort of act as a traffic cop back there and help someone like Drew Makuba, who is a young player, and that's the value that he brought. So Marcus Epps kind of fits the mold in terms of just being the high IQ player back there that's going to be trustworthy, but it could come through the draft, or it could come via trade. There's other avenues that they could explore, but I get the sense that they're not done at that position, either position.
Are they too? I know that they're going to have to get cheaper on offense to afford the defense as the defense gets better. But is there any chance that, even though it's been a few years, that the defense is too young?
Well, I mean, they've been pretty successful despite the age. I don't think age plays into it at all.
But they've lost more even on that side of the ball. You know, it just is. I just wonder.
Yeah, they've drafted really well, and I think when you look at the way the league's trending, you want to have fast, athletic players. Just a few years ago, they were a slow defense in 2023. Probably one of the more. It was older, it was slower, and right now what they've done is they've sort of transformed it and set them up to be a force for years to come. Now it's about identifying talent on the offensive side and starting to invest in that via the draft.
So let's role play real quick.
Yeah.
All right, humor me for a second.
Where's this going?
Well, Connor.
It's draft related. Everybody calm down.
Connor, you're on
related.
camera.
So we're sitting there. We're watching the draft together, me and you. And the Eagles make their first-round pick, and it's an edge rusher. Or they make their first-round pick, and it's a safety. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting next to you, and my reaction is, damn it. They needed Lane Johnson's replacement at tackle. That should have been the pick. I'm unhappy with what the Eagles did. And you turn to me and you say what?
It's important, but they took a player who's going to help them in 2026. That would be my answer there. And to be clear, I think the most logical position, given the Eagles' history, would be to take a tackle, especially when, Connor, I look at where the board is expected or projected to fall. They could have their choice between 3 different tackles who I think all have high-level ability and could step in and be a starter whenever Lane Johnson decides to call it a career. But the flip side of that is if they do take an edge rusher and it's in the first round, in all likelihood, they're going to be someone who they believe can step in and help them in the immediate future. So, the last thing you want to do, and the Eagles haven't done this really since the Jalen Reagor draft, is draft at a position of need. They were coveting speed. Jalen Reagor had that, and really ever since then, Howie Roseman has done a phenomenal job in identifying talent, letting the board fall to him, and then taking the best player available.
Sean Rodman, check that text line for us and see everything's been buzzing this morning, and it's really odd when we have all 4 teams on the table.
Yes, we do. And Nick from Westchester checking in on the Flyers and saying, if the Flyers can capitalize on the power play, we would be in the playoffs and clinched already.
Well, that's the truth, is that I had some people yesterday after the game going, yeah, nice tweet about the Flyers power play. I'm saying the Flyers power play, there should be a 30 for 30 at the end. If this team makes the playoffs, there should be a 30 for 30 on how this team made the playoffs with this power play.
I hate that mentality. I'm sorry, and I know you're right, and I'm not. Right. This is not a beef with the way that you're evaluating, because power play should be better, especially with the talent they have out there.
Should be a lot better.
But I hate that look at this team a team you weren't expecting to make the playoffs going into the season, should not have been expecting to make the playoffs in the midst of a rebuild. They're on this great run that's drawing a lot of new eyes in, and your response is, well, if they did this better, they'd be in already.
All year long, it's been my drum.
No, I get it.
And it's been, by the way, this is the fourth year of it.
Yeah.
This is the fourth year that they haven't improved on something that should be basically easy to improve on. And I'm not talking about them being a top 5 power play.
Yeah.
Even a top 10 power play. If they were top 12, top 15, this team would easily be in. I mean, it's improbable to me that they haven't fixed it.
But we got 5 games left, right? So at this point, I think it's just you're on the roller coaster, throw your hands up, and just let what's going to happen. I'm not here to, dive into what they could have done different to be in better position. John's riding the roller coaster.
I do not do that on a roller coaster, by the way.
That sounds like a great question, John, for Rick Tockett.
It is, and Rick Tockett joins us at 9:30. Look at you, thinking ahead. And I will be asking Rick Tockett about his power play, but I'm going to soften him up with some good questions, too, so he doesn't punch me. Hey, Connor's always good for that positive angle. He just showed it. Well, the Phillies might need one after this weekend's offensive showing, but he says he has one for us. Coming up, Kincade Salciunas continues on The Fanatic. Going to tell you, it's great having a Bradford white water heater in your house, especially when you have visitors in the house and everything, and you want to be able to take that long, relaxing shower, and you want to know you have all the hot water you'll ever need. You're never going to run out when you've got a great, efficient Bradford white water heater in your home. They're the best. They're built to be the best. And they're a local company, so they understand what you demand. They've got their new Infinity tankless and Aerotherm hybrid heat pump models. Now, that sounds really like space age and everything. They're really simple. They take up less space. They're really, really energy efficient, so they save you money in the process. If you've got a water heater in your home and you don't know how long it's been there, if you're talking 10, 12 years, it's time to replace it. You'll do better with a Bradford White. So when you're looking to have that hot shower and you look to run your laundry, when you want to be able to have the dishwasher running too, they're made from the finest components around the world, and they're going to get the job done. You're not going to get one in a big box store. You're going to get one when you go to BradfordWhite.com, and a plumbing professional will bring one to you, and they'll install it for you to get peak efficiency. Because how you heat your water, it matters. Choose my friends at Bradford White.
Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and the Fanatic app.
What do you say? Let's go Huskies? Is that the term?
I guess so.
Let's go Huskies. I know they hate UConn.
UConn do it.
They hate it. They don't like it. The people from Connecticut don't like it. They like Connecticut. But we're big Connecticut people here on Kincade and Salciunas this morning because if Connecticut wins, we win the bracket pool here at the Fanatic.
Our on-the-air picks, too. We're the only show, I believe, that picked on the air.
We picked on the air live with no... We were just doing as the show went along, making our picks randomly, the three of us, and we would beat Ray Dunn. So it's us versus Ray Dunn.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Who's dressed for picture day today.
How about that?
How about that?
He's dressed for picture day.
Yeah, he is, because today's picture day. Ray Dunn looks like it's picture day for school. The hair's perfect. He's dressed up all nicely and everything like that. Ray looks like the
shirt in a hanger. Is his shirt sitting on a hanger right
Ray
now?
is dressed like he looks like it's going to be the mailer you're going to get from that the realtor who wants to sell your house. You're going to get that picture today from Ray.
Hey, he's the voice you trust, according to the intro to Middays with Marks.
He is. He is the voice you trust.
I do trust Ray.
The news. I do trust Ray. Yeah, I'd give him full endorsement. Like if Ray bumped into my niece out and about, I'd probably give a full endorsement on Ray, but
I don't trust many people, but Ray Dunn's on the list. I do trust him.
Look at Connor laughing.
We'll move on.
Yeah, we will move on. Okay, Connor, you got a couple of good Philly stats to sort of take the sting out of people saying this offense stinks.
Yes.
So,
now
bring it.
One has to do, I've got two for you, and both were on the NBC Sports Philadelphia TV broadcast this weekend. So credit to them for doing the stat research. But with Easter weekend and weird timing games in Colorado, a lot of stuff going on. You might not have seen it. First, we're going to start with the pitching staff, and then we'll get to the offense. Going into yesterday's game, both of these stats were going into Sunday's action. The Phillies starters tied for the most strikeouts in baseball among any starting staff. This is without Zach Wheeler. Now, it's very early, small sample size. But if anyone was heading into this season worried about the rotation, I'll remind you, it's the thinness of the rotation, not the ability of the guys that they have right now. And like when Wheeler is back, that number will jump more. They are as good as anybody in baseball when they have their starting pitchers available, and that's going to hold water over the course of the season. Like that's not something that goes away.
I love that. Absolutely love that. By the way, the first night of the draft would be the first night that it appears, if everything goes well in the next two starts for Zach Wheeler, that he would be eligible to start.
Yeah, I need that because I don't really love what Taijuan Walker's given
You
us
don't
so far
love
this
it?
year. No, not
You don't
exactly.
love it, Connor? Yeah,
Now,
nobody else does either.
Now, this is the fun offensive stat. This is a wild one for you. I could not believe this when I saw it, and credit to our friend Jeff Kerr, who went ahead and tweeted this out as well.
Jeff now of Sports Illustrated.
Is that right?
Yes.
Since May 1st of last year. So it's kind of a weird length, but it's a long sample size. That's not just like a handful of games. Since May 1st of last season, the Phillies have 3 players in the top 15 in batting average in Major League Baseball.
Okay, can I guess?
Yes, you can.
Marsh is one.
Marsh is one. He is 5th in all of baseball, batting 303.
Because he dug himself out of that incredible hole.
He's been on fire to start.
Trey Turner won a batting title, so Trey Turner's got to be one.
He's batting 308 since that date, 3rd in Major League Baseball.
Garcia.
It is not Adolis Garcia.
Even though
Bryson Stott.
Not Bryson Stott.
Justin Crawford.
How about your cleanup hitter? Not a big enough sample size there. For
No, really?
Alec Boehm batting 297 since that date. Good for 13
Okay, that's wild.
in all of baseball.
That's wild.
So you have Trey Turner, who everybody should assume would be on there winning the National League batting title last year. But two of the guys that we're most critical of in this core of, like, not to the level of the Stars, obviously, because they're asked to do less, but the Brandon Marsh-Alec Boehm duo, for them to have hit 303 and 297 respectively in that long of a period of time, I don't want to say we might have something here, boys, but we might have something here.
I've never been a Boehm. I've never been a big Boehm detractor. I think it's what the Phillies want him to do.
I have.
Yeah, I've been.
I'll raise my hand.
Okay, what has been the detractor part for you?
I think it's hard for me to get past the fact that he's a 6'5" slap hitter, and now he's a good contact hitter. I would argue that he's probably one of the best on the team in that regard. But I sort of view him as sort of in that group of players that were part of that lineup that just year over year in the postseason just can't seem to get it done. And then, of course, the slamming of the helmets and the bats and all that. But
I knew that wouldn't be something you'd approve of.
No.
And I don't blame you for that.
That may also color my perception here a little bit.
Yeah, now the cleanup conversation is totally different because
I put that on the
power's a big
Phillies.
part of it.
But I put that on the Phillies.
And you should, right? That's not a Bohm thing. That's an inability to find that right-handed pop thing. But you know how many players, like, let's just use some perspective, because batting averages become really weird in baseball. They don't care anymore. It's all launch angle, home runs, whatever. You know how many players hit above 300 last year across Major League Baseball for the season?
11.
Less.
That's
Wow.
No way.
7 players hit 300 or above last year for the season.
See, that's incredible.
Like, these numbers are not just, hey, we've got 30 guys hitting 300. Your top average guys around the league, every team's got one. Like, these are
damning
substantial averages. But it's a damning stat for baseball, not for the Phils. And this is not counting Harper. This is not counting Schwarber. This is not counting what Garcia could be. 2 of these guys are ancillary pieces on this team, and they're 2 of the top 15 batting averages in baseball for a long, long stretch, like close to a calendar year. That's pretty darn impressive, and I think we need to start giving a little bit more focus. Maybe not credit yet, but focus to the Phillies' depth pieces on this roster.
Sean,
yes.
I'm sorry. Sean, what else do we got on the text line? Dr.
All right.
Avidan Appel with that the text line is great, and we got the poll, too, that we want to check.
Yes, we do. This next up on the text line is someone checking in from Havertown. No name, though, says the only way I see the Sixers issue with Embiid is that he missed the meeting and it made Morey mad so much that it's out of spite not playing him through social media in our earlier conversation.
See, that's not true. In fact, and so I had to do a little digging and research on that. No. In fact, and I take it just from NBA Today, the Malika Andrews show. The panelists, the ex-NBA players, said flat out, if you miss a team event with an unexcused absence, none of the ex-players said they would expect to play in the game. So it's not Daryl Morey being spiteful. The ex-NBA players on the panel said if you have an unexcused absence from a team event, none of them said they would expect to play in the game.
Yeah, Jalen Carter faced pushback from the Eagles. He had some punishment for missing team stuff or being late to team stuff. Did that feel...
It was just being late with Jalen Carter, too. It was just late.
Right.
This is not you don't show up or you oversleep for 10 o'clock.
Andrew covers that team. Do you think they were being spiteful to Jalen Carter doing that, or were they holding team policy?
It's team policy. There's no spite there. They're trying to, make sure that everything is in line with, one player to the next. That's the policy. You have to abide by it,
and you got to follow it. It's just what it is. We'll check the poll results coming up too as we start the 9 o'clock hour. You're going to hear from Rick Tockett live at 9:30, but you're going to hear something that he said yesterday coming up after the top of the hour. We'll get some answers from the head coach of the Flyers, who right now they are flying high. I think they're the best authentic, true underdog story we've had here in a while. And don't you dare go and buy masks on Amazon. 1 hour to go. Kincade Salciunas continues here on The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
The Flyers win in overtime. I'm Sean Rodman, and the Flyers rookie Porter Martone wins it with the game-winning goal, beating the Bruins 2-1 in overtime. The Flyers are now in the 3rd playoff spot in the Metropolitan Division and are in the driver's seat with 5 games to play left in the season. Here is Martone after the game on the moment.
Yeah, it was awesome. Zegers got me a pretty good headlock there, so I didn't really get to see it much. But, it was awesome to get that win in front of these fans.
Rick Tockett joins us at 9:30, and Flyers are back in action on Tuesday at New Jersey. They play the Devils, and you can listen to the game right here on The Fanatic on Tuesday. The Phillies won the series over the weekend, but lost to the Rockies yesterday. Former Philly Mickey Moniak had 2 home runs for the Rockies, leading the way for them. And the Phillies are back in action tonight against the San Francisco Giants. Andrew Painter is scheduled to get his second career start tonight for the Phils, and Adrian Hauser is scheduled to start for the Giants. First pitch is at 9:45. Sixers are back in action tonight against the Spurs. You can listen to the game right here. Pregame coverage begins at 7. This update is brought to you by Papa John's. Papa John's is turning up the heat with your choice of 3 new oven-toasted sandwiches: chicken bacon ranch, steak and mushroom, and the Philly cheesesteak. Just $7.99 each or $6.99 with Papa pairings. Order today at papajohns.com, on the app, or stop by your local Papa John's. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and Union, 97.5 The Fanatic, and the
You haven't heard this one lately. The Flyers making a push to the playoffs, and I hate the term, but if the season ended today, we're talking about a Flyers-Penguins first-round series, which would set the state, the interstate, the entire metro area on fire.
They took care of what they needed to against the Bruins, and to have Porter Martone be the guy. I know it's a 2-man advantage in overtime. There was the assumption that they were going to find a way to put the puck in the net there with that advantage. But for it to be the kid was just the perfect way. The celebration on the ice is incredible. It looked like one of those, hey, clinching you're in type of celebrations, which they still have work to do. But when you have that moment for a 19-year-old you just signed, like, it feels like a week ago, that's an amazing thing for this team.
When's that next moment? When is that next opportunity to see this team? And you watch what Dan Vladar did yesterday was incredible in goal. I mean, absolutely awesome. And Sam Urson, again, the other night, just a wall. He's come back to life after a really bad lull in the middle of the year when they could have used him to play better. Can we enjoy just what they're doing? Because this team is still incredibly infuriating in other ways.
Yeah, what are they, like 27th in hockey right now? Or they're down near the bottom. Bad. But the incredible thing for this team is they've been playing so well since the Olympic break to make this push. And just recently, you add in Porter Martone, who seems to always be in the right spot.
Now, back to the show.
Oh, it's been a great Monday morning, and we appreciate you being a part of Kincade Salciunas. And it's Kincade and Connor Thomas, as Connor's in for Andrew all week long, as Andrew is heading down to Florida for some well-deserved time off. And Andrew Checo said, hell no. I'm getting in on this party a little bit. I want to talk some Flyers. I want to talk some Sixers. And, of course, get some Eagles draft talk in as we're 17 days away. So it's been a very lively morning here. And we're going to have Rick Tockett, coach of the Flyers, joins us coming up at the bottom of the hour. We're not going to keep Coach Tockett waiting. He will join us coming up at the bottom of the hour. But he had a lot to say yesterday afternoon after the Flyers defeated the Boston Bruins in overtime and Porter Martone scored his first. I like, by the way, the Marty McFlyer.
You like that one?
Oh, I think it's my favorite one. I think it's my favorite. But then again, it's the Back to the Future thing for my generation is very strong.
It's cute.
I think Marty McFlyer is one.
I think we could do better.
But let's hear what Rick Tockett had to say after the Flyers' big win.
You can just tell he's a hockey player. He loves the game. Even on the bench, you tell him something, or he's a very engaged kid. He's not afraid to say something. He was talking about the power play. Some guys, hey, I'll be here, you be here. I like that. A young kid like that doing that. So you can just tell he's been around, and he's just a hockey player. Love the kid.
He's just a hockey player.
I like to love the kid too, from Rick Tockett, who I don't want to paint him as just like this full on hard ass coach, but he's not going to just throw that out there. Just throw that out there.
I'm shocked too is that the few players that I've spoken to one-on-one on the Flyers that have spoken to me about Tockett, that he's not this hard-ass coach.
Yeah.
Because I sort of expected it to be that that's sort of how he'd be more.
Yeah.
But that he really is a hard when it's needed to be, but really sort of a little supportive, sort of loving guy.
I think it's the bald thing. Bald guys get a bad rap. You think they're meaner than they are. He's really got a heart of gold.
I remember you and we spoke to Rick Tockett when we did the show together, when he was hired, I think.
Yeah.
And we were both under the impression that he was going to be, some tough loving.
Yeah, and I imagine
a tough loving type of coach.
I imagine he does that, but you don't go on a run like this without your players wanting to play for you and pushing the right buttons a lot of the way, and he's done that.
Let's check the poll question of the morning, and of course, Dr. Avidan Appel makes sure that the poll is running strong for 4 hours, which is very, very impressive at any age. Sean?
So far, we have how have you been handling your buy-in for the Flyers playoff push? And been bought in for a while, still in first place at 63%, still need to see more at 25%, and bought in yesterday at 12%.
Okay, so the still need to see more, a quarter of the people. I can understand it, and I think that those people, though, to me, I made the point earlier to Connor, Andrew, that I believe those are the people that probably watch the Flyers play the most. The people who are still skeptical are probably the ones who've watched them the most this year, because I know, Connor, you don't like hearing me get on the power play. Mm-hmm. But to me, it's anybody who's watched this team all year long realizes all of the missed opportunities because of the weaknesses that appeared that they could have been fixed earlier in the year.
Yeah.
That it's something that could have been fixed.
Yeah, you watch it with a more critical eye because you've seen the developments throughout the season. So you're naturally going to be a little bit more skeptical or a little bit more critical over certain facets of the game.
I do like to. I know it's our lowest response on that poll, like the lowest percentage number, but the fact that we've got more like a double-digit percent of our responders saying yesterday was the day that got them in, that's a significant jump for one game. Just be like, this was the moment. Like over 10% of the people voting on this poll are saying, I just got in yesterday because that was such a big moment.
I love that.
You can't understate that.
Now, what's interesting is that, like, I just go like to Jason Martinez, and say, when Jason Martinez and I was saying is like during a game, I'm texting Martinez about things, and I'm saying yesterday I'm complaining about how the Flyers D-men on the power play literally sit on the blue line, and it's not my preference from hockey guy John that they're so backed up right on the blue line. I think it's because they're afraid of being beaten on a turnover out of the zone, that they're going to get beaten.
Yeah,
by teams that are more aggressive at the top. And Jason just gets in on this big explanation with me about why, I can understand and get back and forth. I think it's great because I believe there's a whole new generation of hockey fans that can be born in this next month, that can get exposed to this sport, can get exposed
Not
to this
literally
energy.
born.
No, but they can get christened into it, let's put it this way.
Baptized.
And get into it and start really embracing it. Which would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that kind of goes to your whole gatekeeping point. It should be all-inclusive.
Yeah, I mean, come on, let's have a big baptism. Now, We do it differently in the Catholic Church. We bring people into our church, and, Father Riley brings them over to the baptismal font in the middle of the church and everything. Now, down south, where we were, there was this one church that they took them to, the creek. And the congregation went down to, the creek, and they put them in the creek and did it.
Maybe we'll do that. We'll go down to the Delaware, and anyone who's a new Flyers fan, we'll just have you all jump in.
We want them we really would want them to live a long life. So we're not sure if we want them immersed in the water. And you got to get immersed.
Yeah, the Schuylkill's corrosive.
That stuff's good for you, man.
Yeah, we're not sure.
Build up an immunity.
Yeah, it doesn't kill you, makes you stronger. Let me ask you this, though. About a month ago, we thought the Flyers' playoff chances appeared on life support. Pretty much. They were pretty much on life support. How differently do you feel people are viewing when you compare and contrast the Flyers' run and the Sixers' run right now?
I use this analogy a lot, right? Found money versus earned money. The Sixers, watching their playoff push, feels like you're showing up and earning a paycheck at your job. And the Flyers' playoff run, to me, feels like you picked up a $20 bill off the street, or you went to the casino and you hit it big. It's found money versus what you were expecting. And whenever you have that unexpected stuff, it emotionally brings you in more because you weren't counting on it. That's all it is.
Yeah, no, I see it the same way. The Flyers are a team that's making the most of their opportunity. They've been really consistent when, like you said, they were on life support. And what they've been able to do is remain steady and consistent. And a lot of the young players that this is going to be their first taste for playoff hockey, I think that they've really risen to the occasion. So I think that sort of it elicits a more excitement because it brings everybody together, it feels like.
Can you imagine being Porter Martone in this town right now? Porter Martone. I mean, are you kidding me?
Well, I can't. Kid can't drink yet. You can't even buy him a beer. Now, in 2 years, he's going to have a hell of a time.
Well, how about this? Imagine Porter Martone. What's bigger? Scoring your first goal in the NHL in overtime to put the Flyers in playoff position, or prepping to hang out with Bill Colarulo and Ricky Bowe this afternoon on Unfiltered at 2:15?
I would say the latter.
Yeah. I think so, too.
It's
it's
close,
to me, it means everything.
I don't even know that it is that close.
To me, right now, he's thinking, well, Ricky Battalico, he said, my father probably saw Ricky Battalico pitch. He said he's probably thinking that.
Man, don't do that to Ricky.
No, look, I'm older than Ricky, so it's all right. I can do that joke.
Here's one thing, though. We're going to learn a lot more about the kid's game as we continue to watch him at the AHL level. There's a lot more to be figured out about who Porter Martone's going to be as a hockey player, but one thing I can guarantee you, kid's mouth works because he's talking the whole time. So he's going to be great on air with them later.
Oh, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
2:15 today, so make the appointment. Do not miss Unfiltered. You're going to not want to miss it as Porter Martone makes his debut with them.
And then stick around for the rest of the show, while you can.
Yeah, I would suggest that, too. I mean, I should have mentioned that right now.
Not just the interview, yeah.
Yeah, don't just tune in at 2:15. They're going to do some stuff.
They go from 2 to 6.
They do. All right, Andrew. Both sides of the ball, the Eagles have made some free agent additions. The question is, though, every year, sometimes the name brands that are bought don't actually end up being the ones that make the biggest impact. So this year, when you look at the free agent additions the Eagles have made, who do you feel is going to make the splash? Not necessarily splash, but like the biggest impact.
Yeah,
what the Eagles are trying to get done.
On defense, for me, it's Reek Willen. He's brought in to, for one, be a starter. But you look at the age, the measurables, the athletic traits that are really rare for a corner. With him, it's going to be about consistency. But the Eagles are paying him $12 million over 1 year. And I think in this defense, with Joe Casper now overseeing the defensive back room, and everything that I've gathered about Joe over the past couple of years has been really positive when it comes to communication, player development, and all those things. I believe that he will get the best out of Reek Willen. Now, if he has a bad season, he isn't likely to be back. If he has a really good season, he's probably priced himself out of the Eagles' budget. But we're looking at it solely through the 2026 lens, and I think that he has a lot of upside in this defense, especially when he's not going to be counted on to be the top corner, or really, I guess they had Devin Witherspoon in Seattle, but he's not going to command as much of he won't have as much of a spotlight. So I feel really good about that addition on the defensive side. The other ones were more depth signings. And then on the offensive side, I'm looking at Hollywood Brown, because Hollywood Brown, wherever he's gone, and he's sort of a younger journeyman, I guess you could say, he's produced. Now, not to the level of his draft selection. He was a first-round pick a number of years ago, but there's reasons for that. The offense that he was in with the Baltimore Ravens, then it's since evolved since that time, but he is a vertical threat that I believe will help with spacing. And even if he's not a primary target, and I'm not sure how many targets is realistic with the number 3 receiver, maybe 25, 28 catches, he can impact the game without having to be ball-centric. And that's why, as a number 3 right now, I like that.
Now, Reek Woolen, quick question for you here, because John's brought up a couple times about him losing his spot to Josh Jobe in Seattle and everything that went on there. Gut feel, like, what is his chance to be cornerback 2 on the outside opposite Quinyon Mitchell? Pretty good right now?
Oh, he's going to be. Yeah,
Okay.
they paid him $12 million. And I think now, Connor, the question becomes, because if you remember in the the NFC title game, he had a massive penalty. It's about keeping your emotions in check. It's about, because he likes to celebrate, and he talked about that when he had his initial press conference. He likes to celebrate, but it's about, trying to rein it in a little bit. Not necessarily falling victim to bailing on technique and grabbing, because sometimes he can get a little grabby and rely too much on his athleticism. It's about dialing in just the technical aspect, and the Eagles are really going to hone in on that. If he's able to do that, he will prove to be well worth the investment.
Well, corners sometimes travel with number 1 wide receivers. Maybe he's just a keep him on whatever sideline the Eagles are on that sideline for.
Just stay there.
No crossing routes. Switch everything.
This gives him a really big opportunity here to rebound from a season that he didn't play his best. And if he's able to do that, he's going to be able to cash in the next time he goes to free agency. So I think sometimes there's a plus to getting a player on a 1-year deal who has that kind of upside because, or maybe they're a little bit more enigmatic in that you have an opportunity to really seize it and cash in when you're back on the table.
Want to remind everybody you can check out the Fanatics Deal of the Week as long as it lasts. It's at Broad Street Brewing in Bristol, Pennsylvania. You get a $50 voucher to Broad Street Brewing for just $25. Okay, wait a minute. That's double the beer. That's great.
Sold.
Broad Street Brewing celebrates Philly's vibrant culture, rich history, with a tap room and expertly crafted beer that pays tribute to the spirit of Philly. Get this deal while supplies last at 975thefanatic.com/deals. 975thefanatic.com/deals for Broad Street Brewing for just $25 for a $50 voucher.
Not that it's ever not beer season, but it's beer season. We got 2 playoff runs going on. The Phils are back in action. The draft is right around the corner. This is a time to get the deals on the beverages because we got a lot of stuff we're going to have to keep an eye on. Nice frosty pop helps with that.
Now you just need the weather to, be a little bit more consistent.
It's been so erratic.
It'll get there.
It has been so erratic. Like Saturday, I'm going, wow, it is so beautiful out here. I'm playing golf. It's like 80 degrees. It was gorgeous.
And then it got windy in the evening.
Yesterday, it was like the Wicked Witch of the West came in.
Well, the Sixers and Flyers are both going to be playing until June, so we'll have plenty of time for the weather to
Well, then
warm up.
that works beautifully.
Yeah.
Let's check out the text line brought to you by our friends at Davis Honda. You can feel the Davis difference at Davis Honda in Burlington. Sean Rodman, there are a lot of people chiming in on a lot of topics, so what do we got?
All right, let's go back to the Hurts conversation. One person checking in saying, as a female sports fan in this city, I chalk some of the Jalen Hurts criticism to jealousy. Think about it. Jalen is everything these immature, hidden figures want to be. Professional athlete, wealthy, beautiful wife, benevolent, and not to mention devilishly handsome.
Oh, okay. He's got reverse of pretty privilege. He's too good looking.
Too good looking.
Someone needs to be hosed down, is what that texter.
Big Jalen Hurts fan.
Texter needs a little hosing down.
I'd say that's not the issue.
I don't think that's the issue either.
No.
That isn't.
But
Who else you got?
All right, let's go back to the Flyers conversation. Uncle Goose from Hamilton Square checking in saying, I'm so pumped for the Flyers to make the playoffs. It's great that Porter Martone got the OT winner, and he also loves the Marty McFlyer because the Flyers have been rebuilding and going back to the future.
I didn't think about that. Think about it that way. But it's so far back to the future, I just got to put it to you here. I was a 3rd and 4th grader.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not going to be in on the Marty
back
McFlyer.
to the future. Like, that's really back to the future? Well, there's not really any. Marty McFlyer's great. That's a great one, though.
I could be sold on that because I do actually like Back to the Future.
Do you like Marty, though? Porter Martone being Marty?
Not really, no.
But Marty the Sparty?
That works. Marty the Sparty is
but he's not. But I don't need Sparty to be a part of our nickname.
Yeah, it worked there, but we got to come up with something.
Yeah, but it was TK that I think did the.
Yeah, I just I can't hear the answer and the doctor and Chase Utley the man and Weapon X Brian Dawkins and think Marty McFly.
Right, and also it requires a little too much explaining.
Yeah.
Then how about just Marty? Okay, doesn't work for you?
I need more than that. We'll find a middle ground.
We'll workshop it a little bit.
It's been here a minute. Someone will come up with something.
Oh, I mean, he is absolutely getting some traction though. Sean, what else you got?
All right, next up on the text line, no name as well, but this person saying, I was a Flyers diehard. I watched all 82 games from 2007 through 2020. I said I wouldn't buy back in unless they dumped all the former Flyers the Ed Snyder way. But damn it, I'm back.
Okay.
Welcome.
The one thing I would say to people is this, and I said it from before, is that if you don't know the story, Keith Jones did not campaign to be the Flyers president. Keith Jones didn't say, hey, there's a job opening. Here's my resume. Keith Jones was being sort of, take you behind the scenes. They were surveying, okay, let's find out what's going on with the organization, everything like that. And then Keith Jones offered his thoughts. Here's what I've been a long-time broadcaster and everything. And then they're like, wow, let's look into this guy. He's really bright. Because Keith Jones, a lot of people know Jonesy as a radio personality. Mm-hmm. They didn't know him as this really smart guy. And then they got him in a room. We're like, boy, he actually is pretty smart. But his ability to relate to everybody, from beer vendors to high-level executives, is next level. And I think that's part of why he ended up in that seat.
Yeah. Relatability.
It works.
Relatability, yeah. Take
Players, coaches, fans.
And you just can't, you can't blanket do the former Flyers thing.
Not with them.
No, because, and I understand that it's happened in the past as this organization. They like to keep people in-house, bring people back. But just the fact that Rick Tockett's a former Flyer, Danny Briere is a former Flyer, doesn't mean they're unable to do their job. That would be the same thing as the Eagles drafting a wide receiver out of TCU, and immediately he's Jalen Reagor. That's not how it works. You have to evaluate the players, the people, for who they are. Mm-hmm. And it's tough for fan bases to get over that, but I think open mind is important for new individuals.
Can I also say,
that's a good point.
Can I also say, too, though, is that as far as for those guys, is Danny Briere and Keith Jones, if you see what they're doing, they're not doing old school Flyer hockey, Broad Street Bullies building. That's not what they're trying to do.
No, they're building for the modern game.
So, I mean, that's where that whole narrative falls apart on them. Oh, they're just trying to do the same old thing, same old. They're not doing Flyer hockey. They're not doing the old days. They're trying to do something different. And, whether it succeeds or not, still has to be figured out. Now, Rick Tockett's coming on. I said, there's another thing. They went back to the well. They went back to the well of old Flyers hockey.
Hey, so far so good.
Well, Rick Tockett's going to tell us how they plan on closing the deal and securing a playoff berth. Well, if he chooses to answer the question, we can ask. We're going to find out next. The coach of the Flyers joins us live. Don't miss it. Kincade Salciunas, Connor Thomas in for Andrew. Andrew Tacheko with us here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now on 97.5 The Fanatic Sports Update.
Porter Martone wins it. I'm Sean Rodman, and the Flyers win both games over the weekend, including this overtime winner yesterday against the Bruins. Here's Tim Saunders right here on The Fanatic.
Mason Forster, top left circle, over to Zegras. Zegras down low in front. Martone will stop the rebound. They score! Porter Martone, his first goal in the National Hockey League. It's an overtime winner.
The Flyers are now in the third playoff spot in the Metropolitan Division and are in the driver's seat with 5 games left in the regular season. Flyers are back in action on Tuesday at the New Jersey Devils. You can listen to the game right here on the Fanatic. And Rick Tockett joins us next, the head coach of the Flyers. And the Phillies won the series over the weekend, but lost to the Rockies yesterday. Mickey Moniak, the former first-rounder for the Phils, he had a pair of home runs for the Rockies yesterday and led them to a victory. Phils are back in action tonight in San Francisco. Andrew Painter is scheduled to get his second career start for the Phils, and Adrian Hauser is scheduled to start for the Giants. First pitch is at 9:45. Sixers are back in action after splitting its back-to-back over the weekend as well. And Sixers, they're in San Antonio tonight. You can listen to the game right here. Pre-game coverage begins at 7. And this update is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Every now and then you find a deal where you get more and pay less. Now that's a good deal. That's Straight Talk Wireless on Verizon's 5G network. Find it exclusively at Walmart and StraightTalk.com. I'm Sean Rodman on the home of the Sixers, Flyers, and Union, 97 by the Fanatic and the Fanatic app.
Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
The final hour of Kincade Salciunas is presented to you by The Bagster. It's a dumpster in a bag. You can get yours today at Home Depot and Lowe's. You need details? Go to Bagster.com.
Tyson Forster, top left circle, over to Zegras. Zegras down low in front. Martone will stop the rebound. They score! Porter Martone, his first goal in the National Hockey League. It's an overtime winner.
The Flyers, 5 games to go, know exactly what they've got to do. Just win, baby. Just win, and everything will take care of itself. Their head coach, Rick Tockett, joins us right now on Kincade and Salciunas. And, Rick, we appreciate you making time for us this morning. And I got to ask, right off the bat, things changed for this team. Around a month or so ago, things changed. What was it? What has made this team just absolutely just turn on its ear to being one of the best teams in the NHL right now?
Yeah, I think the Olympic break, and I want to give my assistant coach a lot of credit because I was gone for that mini training camp. They had about 7 practices, and I wanted to change a few things and kind of tweak some system stuff, and I think the players bought in. Obviously, we're getting a lot of good play from a lot of different players since the All-Star break. I mean, it's too many guys to name. But I think when we changed a few things system-wise, I think the guys really bought in, and I think that's really helping. And just the belief in the room. I know it was a horrible January. I didn't see a deflated group. I saw a dejected group that wasn't happy where we were playing, but they had a lot of belief that we could turn things around. So I credit all the players.
Rick, when you go on a run like this, some coaches will say, hey, I expected this from my team. I saw it earlier on in the season. But I want to know, what surprised you the most about your squad in your first year here in Philly?
I would say the resiliency. There's been some times, other than that, like January swoon, I thought we didn't really go through bad stretches, even the start of the year where we lose 3 or 4, 5 in a row. It just happened really the one time. To me, what's really impressed me is, we've won our last of 5 back-to-backs, and I know in the past it's been a sore spot here. I think they won 1 game back-to-back last year and at the start of the year, I think. So when that happens, the team's dialed in. They're dialed into the system. They can play tired. They can play. You can still win your game if you have your B game. These are the tells I had. I think just being able to play when you're focused and you might not have your legs and you're tired, you get home at 4 a.m, that next game where you can still go into Minnesota and beat a great team like Minnesota when, guys, we got in there at 4 a.m. That's when you can tell, hey, man, these guys are starting to get it and getting mental toughness.
Rick, talk about a welcome to Philadelphia moment for Porter Martone. I know it's been just over a week since he's been here, but what are your impressions of Porter? And what is it about his makeup that enables him to deliver in high-leverage moments?
He's just a hockey player, there's some things he's obviously got to improve on, and he has improved. His skating from the start of the year till now, he's really worked on it. But if you just watch him, he just gets a stick on things. He mucks and he grinds, but he can also play a finesse game when he needs to be. What's he got, 20 shots in 4 games? Like, he gets the puck off. What a great kid in the room. He's only been here 10 days or whatever days, and he's already, players love him. The veterans love him. So it's just, he's just a hockey player, and what obviously a great addition to our team.
It's fantastic. Rick Tockett, the coach of the Philadelphia Flyers, joins us. Flyers hockey returns tomorrow night as the Flyers take on the Devils. Rick, to win, you're trying to get to the postseason, and hopefully that will be able to get done. But to win in the postseason, special teams takes on a big importance, and it just seems everything's been working really, really well, but that power play hasn't fixed yet. What do you see? Do you see any daylight that's going to come through there that's maybe going to change things? Because even yesterday there were a lot of missed opportunities.
Yeah, I know it's a sore spot in the city, and I get it. I think there's more. It's a deep-rooted thing that we're going to have to attack this summer. I think I said it yesterday. We're going to have to Band-Aid it. We're trying to find chemistry. Obviously, execution is something we're having a tough time with. And not to rip the players, but 2 20-foot passes, we're having a tough time. I think it's the pressure. I mean, obviously the heat on us. All you read about is it's your last place. It's horrible. And you know what? I get that angst by people, but analytically, even before last game was not good. Obviously scoring the 5-on-3 was huge, and Porter being in the right spot and having that right stick in there was a great setup. But for me, I think it's we got to try to find the execution and the chemistry, and that's something we're going to have to really dive in this summer. Obviously, it's on me. I have to fix it. I'll take a heat, and that's okay. But I've also seen teams that have won Stanley Cups that the power play wasn't great in the playoffs. So, and I don't even want to talk about playoffs. We're not in there yet, but we just got to. There's other ways you can win when things don't go your way in one aspect, but we just need timely goals. The power play. I'm not worried about percentage. We need timely goals, and obviously getting one last night. I know it was a 5-on-3, but you still have to score. Maybe that loosens people up. But we're going to change a few things and change some personnel for the next game. I think we have to, and we're constantly working on it.
A lot of folks in the fan base are excited about the opportunity to see you guys make this push. But what is the expectation in the room when you look at what you have in front of you?
My expectation is improving each player, to maximize, their talent, right? I've felt if you just go down the list, there's a lot of guys that have really made steps this year. And like I said, there's at least 9 or 10 guys for me from last year and the past, and they've really made strides. And that's what we want to see. We got a big game in New Jersey, so here's another test where we're going to a team that's really hot. Jack Hughes is really hot right now. He's one of the best players in the NHL right now if you watch the way he's been playing. The Devils obviously want to knock us off, so this is a great environment for our young guys. This is huge. So I just want to see them handle it and give it their best effort.
Rick, look, I think I want to hear your perspective on what it's like now to be the hunted, and in your experience, how do you go about ensuring that focus is maintained for those new to this experience?
Yeah, stay even keel. Don't just when things aren't going great and things are going great, or bad or good. Don't read social media. Stay humble. Stay even keel. That's the hardest thing to do. How to handle prosperity. Like I said, we haven't accomplished nothing yet. Other than we've accomplished is the belief in the room, the way we're playing. I credit the players, all that stuff, but we got to stay humble. We got to stay even keel. That's the only way you handle this sort of stuff. And I'll be honest with you, we got to play uncomfortable. You got to get out there and play uncomfortable. And what I mean by that is, it's hard to get the inside. It's hard to take a cross check in front of the net to score a goal. It's hard to take a short shift. I know some guys, I want one more try at it where, no, I better get off and get my other line out there. That's uncomfortable play, and that's what we're trying to preach here. And these young guys are buying in. So it's a big test again, like I said, and keep putting these heat on our players in the sense that we're playing pressure games. They're only going to get better. So that's the only thing that we're looking at, the daylight ahead of us.
Obviously, getting Porter Martone up here is a big boost for the team. But what else does it mean getting Tyson Forster back from injury at this point so critical?
Huge. Just his hockey IQ, his leadership qualities. He's another great kid, selfless kid, unselfish. So you put a lot of those guys in that room, that's when you change culture. That's when the crest becomes bigger than the name. I mean, I can name a bunch of guys where they're a crest first. They don't care about the name on their back. He's one of those guys.
I remember watching a young Rick Tockett and all the young players back in the day when Leon and Paula and I would be in the video room with under Keenan and Homer and EJ crafting a bunch of young players. And they were very tough on you and very tough on you young guys. How do you take the experiences you learned as a young player from that coaching staff and other coaching staff that you've worked on and observed and imparted on these players today?
Well, and I credit Mike Keenan and that staff. They really helped me. But today's game is a different coach. You can't coach like that. There's got to be accountability, and obviously there's things that you have to make sure as a coach when players come in the room that these things are non-negotiable. You have to do things, but there are things that there is a partnership, and there's ways of doing things. Even when a young kid, makes a mistake or is not playing well, but his heart's in the right direction, a lot of communication. Talk it out. get their feedback. I think that's important to help them deal with the pressures of being an NHL player. So, and a pack mentality helps too. When you have a lot of young guys together, hanging out together. That's what I remember when I was a young kid here in Philly. We had, you go to a hotel, somebody says, hey, anybody want to go to dinner at 6 o'clock? Well, when you go downstairs, there's 15 guys going out to dinner, not 3 or 4. So I'm seeing that a lot. I don't want to put pressure of the similarities, but I do see the closeness. Even after the game, whoever's the player of the game, you hear the guys clap, and they're happy for the guy. It's not about them. It's about they're happy for each other. So that's what we're trying to preach around here.
Rick, thanks for making time for us today. We know Porter Martone's joining this afternoon. Now, when you tell your team not to check out social media, you do not tell your players not to listen to us, right? You tell them always tune in, right?
Well, talk radio is a little different. You every day, and I'm a little different. But yeah, geez, I'd be a garbage. I don't know what I'd be if I read social media, man. But it is what it is, and you take it with a grain of salt. And all I know is Philly. I know Philly fans. I mean, I live downtown, and they've been supportive and great to me, so I appreciate them.
Us too. Same evaluation. We'd be garbage men together. So thanks, Rick. Appreciate you, buddy.
And don't get me wrong. Guys, I'm not disrespecting. You know what I'm saying? It's just whoever you are, you are. Everybody. Doesn't matter if you shoot a puck or whatever you do. It's we're all the same.
Thanks, Rick. Appreciate you, buddy.
Thanks, Rick.
Rick Tockett joined us here on Kincade Salciunas, and we appreciate the coach's time this morning. Look, it is the truth. It's that Rick Tockett understands the garbage man, the lawyer, the doctor, the plumber, whatever. He understands this city intently, and then he is just as much of an icon in Pittsburgh. And people don't realize that is that. He is just as much of a player icon in the city of Pittsburgh.
Well, he might not be in a couple weeks.
No, that's amazing for him because that could be coming on right around the bend. He doesn't want to talk about it now, and I get it. But he is beloved there. You talk to people from the Pittsburgh organization, they love him because his stuff. I watched firsthand, front and center, what Rick, as a young player, dealt with. That Keenan coaching staff. I mean, now Paul Holmgren was the good guy. Like they were brutal on them. They were brutal. Rick Tockett, man, he's got a big job to keep these guys happy and level.
It sounds like his head's in the right spot. Focused on not the playoffs yet. Didn't even want to talk about it.
That was good.
Hey, that was a good response.
I opened the door. Hey, if he wanted to say cup, he could have said cup. But no, they're focused in the right spot.
Right. Hey, we get a final check on your commentary. Plus a look ahead to a week where you might just have to tell your family, I'm going to be busy watching sports all week, kids. What a week ahead. We'll discuss it all. Kincade Salciunas wrapping up. Middays with Marks coming up at the top of the hour. You're not going to want to miss any of that. And Porter Martone at 2:15 today on Unfiltered. It's a busy day on the Fanatic.
Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic and the Fanatic app.
Andrew getting through TSA.
Oh.
And everything fine at the airport, so he'll be getting down to Florida.
I hear that's fun these days.
How do you know? What is he doing? The documentary? Is he doing video? Vlogging?
Just checking in on my boy. Checking in on him, making sure he's good. Andrew's very much a traveler like I am, except he's older.
Yeah, he doesn't document his vacation.
No, we don't.
You don't either.
I do not.
And I don't either.
I do not.
Why
Connor,
are you looking at me?
When I'm on vacation,
you're a big social media guy.
For the most part, when I'm on vacation, you get something when I'm maybe if I arrive at my destination, like bye, and then like a week later, hello.
Yeah,
back.
Yeah. See, Connor will do a 16 thing Instagram story. Now I'm here. Now I'm there.
I gotta let people know.
Teach
what
their
I'm getting
own.
into.
Well, listen, everyone.
Yeah, it's different. Well, no, but it's also an age difference thing. Except Andrew is older than me. You know, he's actually, I think, is genetically older than me. I have no idea.
That's why he and I got along so well off the
Yeah, you don't
right
do
off
it
the
either,
rip.
though. I just don't.
You gotta flex on
it.
the gram for vacation. What's the point of going?
I told him, I said,
saying I'm here and you're not.
I said, put the phone down and just enjoy yourself. But I never even really have to worry about that with him because he'll put the phone down and he'll enjoy it. He's very, though, jealous of us all because this week is going to be about a lot of Flyers, Sixers playoff talk.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be awesome, and we're getting ready. And Andrew DiCecco is 17 days away from the draft. So you'll be back with us on Thursday with a little more heavy draft talk, too, as we get prepared. I'm very excited for the draft. I just, gut instinct. I want to know from you one question. I've been trying to, Goober Boy, or Dork Boy, or whatever I want to call myself, I've been trying to watch more of Green Bay's offense on YouTube. What would you watch to prepare yourself for this season, Eagles offense? What else could I potentially watch?
What would you focus on? The Sean McVay offenses, the Kevin O'Connell, Kyle Shanahan. Look how the Green Bay Packers deployed their tight ends last season.
See, that's interesting.
The tight ends in this offense are going to have a much more of a larger focal point. And I think more so in creativity, the route concepts and what they're being asked to do. I don't know that there will be a ton more in terms of volume, but I do think that you're going to see them try to accentuate more what Dallas Goedert can do well, like get vertical and stretch the seams a little bit. And I would look at just the timing, how quickly the ball comes out of the hands of Jordan Love and how that offense is able to stay on rhythm and establish that, because those are going to be hallmarks that I'm expecting him to carry over here to Philadelphia.
What's this success rate of like McVay disciples? It feels like they're all really good, but just you have a better grasp of where they all ended up or where they're at now. Does it feel like a pretty high hit rate when you go to that tree?
Yes, and largely the quarterbacks that they've worked with have taken their game to another level. So I think Sean Mannion, with his background as a quarterback, yes, he doesn't have an extensive resume, but I do believe that his background should help with credibility and relatability and also the way that he sees the game, and in turn, it should help Jalen Hurts.
Well, he's put the spikes on. Nick Castellanos would love to play if he wants to sign with the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, it just is. I mean, seriously. I mean, that really does come in. It's so exciting, though, to think of just where this has a chance to go. So I'm very, very excited. We'll have more with Andrew as we get ready for the draft coming up 2 weeks from this Thursday. Andrew will be back with us on Thursday for that. Let's check one last check of the Twitter poll. Dr. Avi Donapel, we appreciate you. Tell us a little bit about it.
All right. Our Twitter poll today is, if I can find it, if it wants to pop up, how have you been handling your buy-in for the Flyers playoff push? And in first place, up a little bit too now, been bought in for a while, 62%. Down a little bit, still need more time, is 24%, and bought in yesterday at 14%.
All right.
Did that go as you expected, Connor?
I'm surprised so many people have been bought in as long as they're saying.
I am surprised at that also.
Yeah, but
I'm very surprised at that.
It's hard to tell. Buy-in is a personal thing. It doesn't mean you were tweeting about every single game and being very active on social media. But if you've been watching and believing that this is something that could happen for a while, maybe there was more buy-in. And this run they've been hot for a while now.
Correct. They've been the best team in the NHL, second best team, honestly, in the NHL for around a month.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Just felt like such a big moment yesterday. It's cool to see how many people, 14%, saying that they jumped in yesterday.
Which is
that
fine.
is pretty cool.
Welcome. The water's fine.
Okay, Flyers It's Tuesday on the Fanatic at New Jersey, Thursday at Detroit, which is just a huge game, and Saturday at Winnipeg. So that's your week. 3 road games, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Flyers will finish out their season Monday and Tuesday back-to-back at home. Huge games with Carolina and Montreal. So you honestly have it every other night coming here till next Monday and Tuesday. I have a feeling next Monday when we're reconvening, we're going to be talking about those games still matter. Those games are still going to matter for them making the playoffs.
I hope not, but I believe you're right.
You're going to have to, one of those games is going to be a clincher. I'd get in on it now.
I think so.
You think it'll take till a shootout? Feels like 2010 all over again.
I don't know about that close.
Hey, it worked last time.
Yeah.
Well, kind of worked last time.
Now
Not close.
Now for the Sixers, you got a little bit of a difference. Sixers tonight at San Antonio. So that is a huge task.
I think they win tonight. I was just talking with the Middays with Mark's guys.
Okay, excuse me.
I think they win tonight.
Why?
Joel Embiid sound happy to you? I don't care whose fault it is.
No, he sounds
happy?
pissed. And you like the Wemby-Embiid matchup.
If there's one thing Wemby has a weakness with still in his game is that bigger-bodied big men can move him off of his spot. And Joel Embiid, when he's motivated and healthy and at his best, can be one of those guys.
And we're not talking back-to-back here because the Sixers don't play again until in Texas till Thursday.
Right.
So they will be able to have a opportunity to have Embiid play tonight and then play Thursday at Houston. So both of these games, Joel Embiid should play in.
Yeah, I think this is, when you look at who needs it more, I think the Sixers go out and get one tonight.
Because Friday night, they're at Indiana. Friday night, they're at Indiana.
Yeah,
and you should win that. So that's where you wouldn't expect Joel to play in the back-to-back.
Yes.
I think this sets up for a big Joel Embiid game.
They win the night. I think the 6th seed is theirs.
You remember who he scored 70 against?
Yep.
I'm trying to remember.
Man,
was Victor Wembanyama in that game?
You know, my partner's not here today, but that's the game that he went to in order to see Wemby.
That's right. He did. He told me.
He went to see Wemby just to be able to say, I want to see Wemby play, and then he saw Embiid go for 70.
I might be crazy, but you got a lot of great sports to watch anyway this week. And real quick, if you're out in the Skipback area, I got to give a quick shout-out to Timeout Sports Bar at Skipback, who had us out for a Sixers event, and they were incredible. Gave us a bunch of food. Their service is great. So your local bars, patronize them this week.
And it was
a lot of stuff to watch.
A lot of fun. You met some good people there.
Absolutely was. Met some listeners. So it's going to be a great week to get out and be with your fellow fan and watch these teams make their playoff push.
Heard lots of good-looking women at that bar in Skipback.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, maybe I'll have to check it out.
Some of them even my niece. So
I was on the job. I was
Connor.
I was focused on giving out the T-shirts
Connor,
and
man,
giving
met
out the
my
tickets.
niece. You know, I mean, you never know.
Connor was signing 8x10s.
Hey,
headshots.
Don't miss Middays with Marks, and do not miss Unfiltered today as Porter Martone joins them at 2:15. But as Andrew DeCecco said, tune in at 2 and stay until 6. In fact, just don't rip the knob off. Just stay with the Fanatic all day long. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Have a great day, everybody.